In the studio. Look out. It took Midas touch. Like we've talked about that, I don't know, 10 times. It's not in his bank account. It's in a bank account in Qatar, but
when you're born into a fire, let 'em burn, let 'em...
he can't bring it to a bank account in the United States because they owe money to U.S. companies. They could seize them. I mean, just because someone said his own pocket, that's not what they mean. It's in a bank account he controls, I guess. Not in the treasury. Yeah. Got to hear about what they say. Yeah. say about us to the rest of the world, you'd be real fucking mad. Maybe your son can die for Epstein. You'd be a proud father. All right, let's start that. Pause that. Give me just a second. There it is. So like, switch accounts. Pause that, move. There we go. Oh, we're about to get there. Hold on. Takes a second. I did call their fucking lash out strategy pretty well. They're just gonna lash out at fucking everything. They were even shooting it indiscriminately just into city centers. Like, for them, it's all or nothing, right? Like, it's do or die. Like, the regime, if Israel and the United States step in, the regime is going to fall. There's no safety net. There is no holding on. There is no backup. There's no fallback area. So they might as well fucking either one, surrender, right? Negotiate, surrender, whatever. Or two, launch fucking everything at everything.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for
inaccurate
watching
targeting,
Cold
I
Beer
think.
Confessionals
It's hard to
with
say,
Will
to be honest with you.
Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her
Yes,
coochie loves
Biden is
that.
in zero the Epstein files. You're right,
Never
Billy.
mind. Let's not go there. Anyways,
Zero
I hope
the
you have a
Epstein
good
files,
show
include
and
Biden.
enjoy it as you
Wild.
can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everyone. I am Will Bird. This is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. So I woke up to some news this morning, like most people. We were talking about it, right? It's always on the weekend. He doesn't want to see how it affect the market till Monday, where they've had some time to adjust. Iran striking out at literally, it's do or die for them, right? So they're going to strike out if they've got missiles ready to go, they're going to fucking shoot them. Oh, by the way, I wasn't going to be in the studio tonight. But we actually, me and Mariah went out for a date, but it was earlier. We went to see Scream 7, which is weird because I found out Mariah hadn't seen any of the other Scream movies, but it was all right. Anyways, someone mentioned it's hard for me to believe. So Israel 100% has agents in Iran. The U.S. 100% have agents in Iran. It's hard for me to believe that they got bad targeting and hit a school. I would be more likely to say, so Iran launched a lot of missiles that never left Iranian airspace today, right? They were shot down, chopped down, failed. You know, they're old and fucking pieces of shit. They failed on launch that may have fallen back on their own people. Or they could have shot down some of our munitions or Israel's munitions. Just because you shoot down munitions doesn't mean that you fucking destroy the threat, right? It's still got to come to the ground somewhere. I did see the pictures that seemed to be of a girls' school, 80-some deaths or something. It was pretty bad. It's hard for me to believe that we thought, oh, the bad guys are here, and it ends up being a girls' school. We just have better information than that. I just guarantee you we have better information than that. I tried to tell her she's watched the Scary Movie, which is like that makes fun of the Scream movies, and she's seen the little documentary thing on YouTube about the murders that inspired the Scream movie about those two boys that like kill have their friends over and kill them or whatever. But she said she was watching it one time when she was little, which it came out when we were little, and she got really scared and had the adult that was with her turn it off. So Scream 7 was all right. I mean, you don't have to watch the Scream movies to know what's going on, right? The main character, Cindy Prescott, is like the girl they're always going after, except for Scream 6. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't think that was an intentional target. That's a very poor choice. Even with a joint operation with the United States, is a very poor choice for a target, and they have too many assets on the ground, to just fucking blow up a school. But I don't know. Let's go see what Preston Stewart says. I'm not really ready for a show, but we saw Scream 7. It was pretty good, I guess. It just came out a couple days ago. It was really the only thing that was on. So let's start here. I did hear Israel's confirming. I don't know if Iran has confirmed, but Israel's confirming that they took out the leader of Iran. I think this was from a day ago after the talks.
It looks like Iran has rejected the U.S. demands during the most recent round of negotiations. And just today, we're starting to get news that the United States and other countries are asking their citizens to evacuate Israel, and for those that have them, citizens in Iran. So according to the Associated Press, they say, quote, Iranian state television reported that Tehran was determined to continue enriching uranium, rejected proposals to transfer.
It's kind of wild that that just, a couple months ago, we totally decimated their ability to enrich uranium, and it would take them decades to rebuild, according to the president. And then just a couple days ago, they were almost ready to have weapons grade uranium again. That was wild.
Abroad and sought the lifting of international sanctions, indicating it was not prepared to meet President Trump's demands. Shouldn't be a big shock to anyone following these negotiations. We have drawn a pretty hard line into what we will or will not accept, and by and large, while I think those would be...
I don't think that the Iranian regime falling and a decent fucking leadership put in place and no power vacuum and some type of democratic republic, or I don't think that's a bad. I just don't trust the government to handle it well.
Good things. We should get to that point. It's hard to believe that the Iranian regime, as it sits today, would agree to any of those because they view a number of the demands as existential to their existence. Like without their ballistic missile program, they won't exist. So they're certainly not going to just voluntarily give it up. The Times of Israel says, quote, the U.S. State Department on Friday authorized non-emergency personnel and the family members of those stationed in Israel to leave.
I didn't talk about this, but I meant to. They were calling for personnel and individuals and citizens to leave the area.
The country due to safety risks, with U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee reportedly telling embassy staff that if they want to leave.
I was there. Like, I was on the ground when we were fucking rebuilding Iraq. I was there for their elections. I was there through a lot of fucking Iraq. And it was bad, right? It was a gigantic power vacuum after they had this like fucking no nonsense, hard-nosed leader that kept everybody in line through fear. I'm not saying that's the way to lead. Obviously, it's not. I'm not saying that. I said this the other night. I'm not saying he's a good guy. I saw people on the ground in the north that he had used fucking chemical weapons on, right? Some people still had scars that had survived and shit. Like, that's horrible. But when you have a leader like that, and you just take everything out of it and say, oh, well, we'll be your leader for a little bit, and then we'll have these guys that we want to be your leaders. Like, the people are just apt to reject that wholly.
Israel, they should do so today. We also have some reports of a number of countries.
You mean since the assistant dictator's in charge and nothing changed in Venezuela? Yeah. Seems to be doing good since they took one out and made his vice president the leader, and she's doing the exact same thing. Yeah. Seems amazing. She's doing the exact same thing, but giving us some oil. Yeah. That sounds great.
asking their citizens to leave
Stupid
Iran,
motherfucker.
China, Canada, Sweden, India, Poland, Germany, Brazil, and others. And then in Israel, we've got the United States, Australia, Canada, Germany, and more. The specific nature of those orders is difficult. Sometimes it's just you need to be careful. You need to avoid traveling to this area if at all possible, all the way up to if you're one of our citizens and you're in this country, you need to leave right now. So we've got the kind of wide range of warnings.
So this was one day ago when all these warnings were coming out.
Starting to emerge both across Iran and Israel as negotiations.
How do I know that? How do I know who's in charge of Venezuela? The vice president's in charge of Venezuela. The same authoritarian government that she was the vice president of. Nothing's changed at all. You're just assuming that everything changed? Because clearly you haven't looked into it. You're like, it seems pretty good to me. I haven't heard any complaints from my Venezuelan friends. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Negotiations just yesterday seem to have fallen apart. So it looks like Iran has rejected. So during his
We spent the better part of World War II not knowing of the atrocities that were going on in Germany. Doesn't mean they weren't happening. Like, Hitler guy, we really got to stick it to him, but I bet he's a good guy deep down.
State of the Union address, President Trump said that Iran has not yet said the magic words, that they will not pursue a nuclear weapon. But just a few hours prior to that speech, the Iranian foreign minister said, quote, Iran will under no circumstances ever develop a nuclear weapon. Now, you may or may not believe Iran when they say that, but it's this interesting pattern where we're continuing to put out these arguments for war that are kind of easily pushed back on.
I think it's kind of a slap in the face to leave her in power, right? To say, like, we see you're suffering. We know you're suffering. This leader's a piece of shit. We're going to come down there. We're doing this for you. We got to free. We got to get the dictator out, and then put his second in command in charge and be like, well, she's doing whatever. At least she gave us some oil.
That's one of them. Why hasn't Iran said these words? Iran already said those words. So the argument needs to be something else. We then heard Secretary of State Marco Rubio talk about how Iran is developing ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, with the idea that they would be used to strike the United States homeland. But almost immediately, experts came.
Again, we couldn't have decimated. Remember when experts came out everywhere over the bombing in Iran that happened a couple months ago, right? And they're like, I don't know. There was a bunch of trucks leaving their enrichment facilities. It seemed like they had moved a ton of stuff. We're not even sure we set them back that much. And like Trump and Marco Rubio was like, no, it's fucking decimated. We've set them back decades. They will not have a nuclear weapon this century. We did it. Mission accomplished. No way. And then like in a couple months, they're like, well, they almost got nuclear weapons again. Yeah, I've been hearing that since I was 14, that they were weeks away, months away, days away from a nuclear weapon.
Came out and said, wait a minute, your own government, the Defense Intelligence Agency, just a few months ago released their
Nope, you can't say that.
Iran has
you can leave.
Launch vehicles it could use.
You can't say that.
Develop an ICBM by 2035 if they decide to pursue that capability. They quoted a U.S. official saying there's no indication that Iran has made that decision or pursued that.
So U.S. officials are saying, out of the administration, U.S. officials are saying that no, they haven't decided to pursue nuclear weapons or ICBMs, or they're not enriching uranium. Like, no, they're just doing their thing.
So like it's contradicted by our own public intelligence.
For my favorite reason, Billy Bacon, because I fucking said so.
Assessments. We had Steve Witkoff about a week ago saying that Iran is a week away from, I think he said, industrial grade enrichment that could be used in a bomb. But right away, the Wall Street Journal, a conservative organization here that I would argue probably wants to see regime change in Iran, said, hey, all of the experts are saying that's
again, this could be handled really, 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 really well. Right? So you can't handle the truth. I don't want to see your nicknames for ethnic groups. Are you that slow? I don't want to see your racist nicknames for ethnic groups. Is that the truth you want to put out? Is that the hill you want to die on?
true. They quoted David Albright, a former UN weapons inspector, who said, quote, "We don't see any evidence that they're trying to reconstitute their nuclear weapons program." They also quoted Robert Einhorn, a former State Department official who now works at the Brookings Institute, saying, quote, "There's no enrichment taking place." And we're in this weird place where there are a bunch of viable reasons we can make the argument as to why now is the time to go after the Iranian regime. Their crackdown on protesters. We've got their continued nuclear program. I don't think it's gone. And the administration now seems to be on board with the idea that it has not been obliterated.
Yes, calling every Middle Eastern person Muhammad is racist. I think you know that.
Or at the very least been rebuilt. We've got their ballistic missile program. There's support
ninja.
Uh-oh. Thank you very much, Craig the Hunter. FES, great to have you back on YouTube. A legend. Thank you. I appreciate the donation. Thanks, Craig. Oh, what I was going to say earlier is, thanks for stopping me again. What I was going to say earlier is this could be really good, right? I'm not a fan of, obviously, I don't think anybody is a fan of the Iranian regime, right? It could be really good. Iranian regime removed. Some more democratic. I don't know that they're ready for, I don't know that the people would not revolt around a purely democratic, but some more democratic, more open to working with other people and trade deals and inspections, and less power hungry, less death to America. But it just seems like everywhere we go to do that, we do it really fucking shitty. I don't think it's impossible for us to do it well. Like maybe this is the time we do it well. It's just people are tired of seeing us go do it really, really fucking shitty everywhere. Like when we do it in Afghanistan, and we do it in Iraq, and we do it in fucking Venezuela, we really didn't do anything. And we do it in fucking Vietnam. Like people are tired of seeing us do it really, really fucking shitty.
Proxies that have American blood on their hands. All of those are arguments that have been made in the past. They're being negotiated right now, or trying to be negotiated.
Oh, I don't know. Probably just because Iran.
We're seeing a bunch of these other ones pop up that, at the very least.
That's true. I mean, like, a lot of people make that argument. It's not our fucking business at all to get involved. At some point, it has to become our business. But
seem to be.
Did we reach that point? A lot of people would argue not.
Heavily exaggerated. So it's interesting right now how the case for war is being made. So during his State of the Union address, President Trump said that Iran has not.
All right, so that's the State of the Union address. That was still from a day ago. I think the next one is okay.
Right, so the United States and Israel have kicked off military operations against Iran. This is playing.
Oh, I like those. Those are the aircraft ID aviation cards they used to give out to the military.
All right, so the United States and Israel have kicked off military operations against Iran. This is playing out right now, but what we know so far is it appears that the United States is using primarily standoff munitions, Tomahawks, to go after military and command facilities. It looks like Israel.
53 a subscription. An anonymous user gifted a tier
Thank
1
you.
sub to BugJude53.
Thank you very much for the gifted sub. I appreciate it.
All right, so the United.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of. I'm hoping that Trump is skittish about troops on the ground. That's what I'm holding out hope for. I mean, I fought in Iraq. It sucked. I hope that. I fought a bunch of places. It all sucked. But I hope that Trump is skittish of troops on the ground. I hope he's trying to do this from a distance.
The United States and Israel have kicked off military operations against Iran. This is playing out right now, but what we know so far is it appears that the United States is using primarily standoff munitions, Tomahawks, to go after military and command facilities. It looks like Israel, we are seeing some of their aircraft in the skies overhead, look to be carrying out decapitation strikes, going after senior regime officials. Now, in response to this, the IRGC said that they have now begun Operation True Promise 4, and they have begun missile and drone attacks, not just against Israel, and there's an ongoing missile attack right now, but against U.S. bases in the region. So already in the last couple hours, we have seen a number of Iranian missiles and shots.
Yeah, that's a gigantic conspiracy theory. If you want to know who's involved in 9/11, it's mostly Saudi Arabians.
Head drones getting through and striking U.S. bases. The naval base in Bahrain, as of right now, looks to be on fire. There's no reports of casualties.
So they lashed out at anything they could reach, right? They fired everything they had. So a lot of it was intercepted. A lot of it was shot down. But if they can reach it, they're going to shoot at it.
Or what those losses look.
Because it's death to them, right? Like there is no fallback plan. There is no like, there is no like we'll hide in a shelter until blah blah blah. There is no they'll get tired eventually. Like shoot at fucking everything, and maybe something will get through, and they'll be like, whoa, we didn't know it was going to cost this much life, or we didn't know you were going to shoot citizens, or we didn't know that you were shoot everything. See what happens. There just isn't any plan B for the Iranian regime once the missiles start falling. They had two options before, right? It was to capitulate to whatever the demands were. We don't even know what those demands were. We hear some of them, but we don't know what the full demands were. Or fucking be destroyed.
But no doubt at least
the only option they have is maybe a economic impact. They shut down the Strait of Hormuz. They lash out at maybe some civilians, and maybe people are like, whoa, let's wait a minute here, kind of deal. I don't think they thought that through very well with Trump, but whatever. It's the only option they had.
Some Iranian munitions are getting through. I don't have any information on impacts inside of Israel quite yet. Some mixed information on that. But look, we talked about this in
Russia can't be happy, right? Russia gets a lot of their munitions, drones, and shit from Iran right now.
Previous days. The Iranian regime is viewing this as, according to President Trump's speech earlier today, he said everything is on the table. We're getting rid of their missiles. We're getting rid of their nuclear program. We're getting rid of their support for proxy networks. And he called on the Iranian people to stand up. He said, this is your time, might be the only time you have in generations to stand up and take back the country. So the Iranian regime is viewing this as an existential.
If there was a ban, you wouldn't be here, but you're welcome.
Threat. We should expect, as we're seeing right now, them to launch everything they have at a number of bases across the region. Right now, already, we're tracking that the American base in Bahrain, Qatar.
I don't think we should have blown boats out of the water. I've got no issue with fucking capturing those people, sentencing them, trying them, seizing the drugs, using that for fucking intelligence on where the drugs are and stopping the drug trade. I don't think we should have blown boats out of the water and then been like, where's the evidence? It's all over the ocean. Oh, okay.
UAE, maybe even Kuwait and Jordan have been
He'll figure it out on his own.
Struck, not targeted, but hit. There have been Iranian missile or drone impacts on those bases. We don't know right now the extent of those impacts. Some of them, I'm looking at one right now in Bahrain.
We did see this satellite receiver gets hit over here. I think this is the image where he gets hit in a minute.
And I'll play that here on the video. The one in Bahrain.
There's the drone.
To have struck an air defense radar. So
radar. What did I say? Satellite radar receiver.
For more information, but as of now, what the United States actually, the name of this operation, we should get at that.
Look how when you're used to like seeing missiles and shit. Look how fucking retarded this goddamn drone looks. Like it looks like a bird on the breeze. Did you guys see it in the video? Hold on.
Missile or drone. I'm looking at one right now in Bahrain.
Like when we're used to seeing mortars and missile strikes and shit. Watch this.
I'll play that.
Like there it is, right above the play button. It looks like it's barely moving.
The one in Bahrain, at least.
And it just kind of falls.
An air defense radar. So we're waiting for more information.
I get it. They're deadly, but they're kind of comical at the same time.
But as of now, what the United States actually, the name of this operation, we should get at that.
Like I couldn't imagine. Like we fucking mortar fire and shit like that, where you just hear shit like whistling and 127 millimeter rockets fucking flying and shit, where you just don't have a chance. I couldn't imagine being slow stalked by a fucking 40-pound drone and you just hear it buzzing for the next 10 minutes coming at you.
The United States is referring to this as Operation Epic Fury. The Iranians are referring to this as Operation True Promise 4. And then Israel is referring to this as Operation Roaring Lion. And by all accounts, this is just beginning. All right, so
Right. That's how we gather fucking intelligence, right? HUMINT, right? We grab the people. We seize the drugs, do whatever we do with seize drugs, grab the people, probably give the drugs back to the CIA so they can sell them back to the country to destabilize it more. But, and then trace down the bigger fish, right? Instead of just the people that are allegedly, like, there's just no proof at this point. It gets really messy there.
So this is a picture.
And then even Trump's like, wow, people are scared to go fishing now. Like, why would they be scared to go fishing? I do fly drones quite a bit, FPV drones.
So this is a picture of Supreme Leader Khamenei's personal residence after being destroyed in Israeli strikes earlier today. And now we have news from Israel. They may have killed the Supreme Leader himself, although not in this strike, probably underground. Israeli Channel News says, quote, Israel assesses that Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was likely killed in an Israeli strike earlier today, citing unnamed Israeli sources. They say it says there are growing indications to this effect. However, there is no official confirmation of the report. They say the TV station had minutes earlier said the Israeli assessment was that Khamenei was hurt at the very least, and this was not an assessment based on satellite imagery showing Khamenei's presidential compound being flattened, but rather on information from unnamed sources. So we probably would not expect Khamenei to be in his house right now. He's probably been underground for quite a while. But either way, we do know that this first wave of strikes was kind of split between the United States and Israel.
It does feel like Israel's leading Trump around pretty fucking hard on a lot of things.
The United States, according to a U.S. official, was going after military targets and ballistic missile sites, likely air defense assets as well, clearing the airspace for follow-on waves, whereas Israel is primarily targeting Iranian leadership, decapitation strikes. So we did not know if Khamenei was going to be in that first wave or not. It looks like he was at the very least targeted, and Israel is becoming more and more confident they may have.
You're not going to catch me just because I don't like Trump cheering for the regime. Like, they're shitty people, but I hope it's done right.
At the very least targeted, and Israel is becoming more and more
Operation Epstein Fury or something like that.
Confident they may have already killed him. So this is a picture of So it looks like Iran has expanded their strike.
They issued a photo. To all the ground troops of Epstein to put in their helmets so they know what they're fighting for.
Campaign to more of a terror bombing across.
Well, this was earlier. Israel's claiming he's dead. They were claiming he was at least injured, possibly dead. Now they're claiming 100% he's dead. But we just have last time I checked, we didn't have confirmation from Iran finally admitting it.
Middle East rather than strictly military targets. Just in the last few hours, I'll play some of the videos here. We've seen Iranian Shahed.
No one believes that here.
In downtown
Joe
Dubai.
Kaka.
More than one at this point. We've seen the international airport in Kuwait has been hit, as well as other targets across the Middle East. We also just got notification a few minutes ago that the IRGC has now shut down the Strait of Hormuz. So
thank you, Z-Man.
About Iran at this point, or the IRGC pulling out all of the stops. They really are viewing these operations as an existential threat to their regime. So
millions and millions and millions of barrels of oil go through the Strait of Hormuz every day. That's an economic strike, I guess.
They're not just going after military targets. They're trying to pressure U.S. allies in the region, hitting Dubai, the Kuwaiti airport, shutting down the Strait of Hormuz to try to get the U.S. allies in the region to come to President Trump and to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to say, hey, enough, stop this thing, the chaos, it's spreading. We can't have this. We can't have drones impacting our cities. We can't have our airport shut down. We can't stop sending anything in and out of the Strait of Hormuz. This is something that, and I know these numbers change, but it's roughly 20 million barrels of oil per day, which is roughly 20% of the global consumption passes through that waterway. So Iran right now is, rather than trying to take the U.S. and Israeli military head on, as we expected, have branched out, and they're trying to force a bit of a pressure campaign across the region to get our allies to tell us enough's enough. So it looks like Iran has expanded their
to get allies to put pressure and say, hey, we don't want to do this.
So we're getting more pictures and videos coming out now suggesting that
that's just not true, but there you go.
A U.S. or Israeli strike in Iran overnight may have hit a school that led to the death of as many as 85 people, most of them young girls between the ages of 7 and 12. Now, the fog of war is very thick right now, and there's more that we don't know than we do. But to share what's circulating at this point, most of the reports are coming from Iranian sources, of course, Tasnim and Fars. It's being repeated by the Iranian foreign minister, who said dozens of innocent children have been murdered at this site alone. These crimes against the Iranian people will not go unanswered. Now, it's not just words. They are sharing pictures and videos that are too graphic. I'm not going to share them. It's clearly a building was hit. You can look them up on X, actually, Twitter. They're all over there. But clearly a building was hit. Clearly in the aftermath there are casualties, and clearly a lot of those casualties are children. So we know that happened. We don't know.
So just off the BBC from about an hour ago, at least 180 people have died in an explosion at a school in southern Iran. according to a local prosecutor. It happened. U.S.-Israel launched massive airstrikes against the country. The president said it was a barbaric act and another black page in the record of countless crimes committed by the aggressors. There has been no confirmation by the two Western countries of the attack on the school located near a base of the IRGC, Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, which has been the target of the strikes. The Iranian Red Crescent said at least 201 people throughout the country have been killed, with 747 injured. Red Cross and Red Crescent officials in Geneva said the society had mobilized response teams to go to the school following the incident. An official said that the school in the town of Minab of the Hormozgan province had been targeted by 3 missile attacks. It is located about 600 meters from the base of the IRGC. The BBC has verified the clips of the aftermath of the explosion, which show smoke rising from a building as crowds gather nearby and people can be heard screaming in panic, but it has not been able to independently verify the death toll. International news organizations are often refuse visas to Iran, which severely limits their ability to gather information there. Iranian social media users have reacted with anger to the news of the incident. An Iranian living abroad who opposes military intervention in Iran commented, "The first victims of this war are 40 girls in Minab, hit by a missile attack. Is this the war you cheer for?" Deep mistrust of the Iranian regime, however, makes official reports difficult for many to accept, and some Iranians directly blame the regime for the attack. One user wrote, "Even if the regime did not directly target schools, the deaths of children remain the responsibility of the Islamic Republic. People have no shelters, the internet is cut, phone lines are down, and there has been no warning to keep children out of school. In these conditions, the minimum requirement should be to stay at home." The school tragedy took place as the U.S. and Israel launched wave after wave of airstrikes against targets. So it could have been a lot of things, right? It could have been a failed Iranian missile that was shot down or just failed to take off, right? They got a bunch of shitty equipment as well. It could have been a fucking drone that lost signal. It could have been one of our missiles. It could have been one of Israel's missiles. I don't think it was bad targeting. I don't think they said, "Oh, this is a military base. Turns out it was a school." Right? We just have too many assets on the ground there already. Right? Israel's got a ton of people there. I know we've got people there that have been targeting all these places for fucking at least months, if not years, right? It could have been one of our munitions was struck by one of their munitions, and this is where they fucking fall to. You know what I mean?
What hit the building or why. So wait for more information to come out. Again, the United States and Israel have not spoken about this. Technically, the wide range of possibilities that exists here is that the United States or Israel had a bad target. They wanted to hit this and they thought it was something that it wasn't. That's a possibility. Munitions veer off course and they don't hit their desired target. Munitions get partially intercepted and then impact where they're not supposed to. On the other side, we do know that Iran has launched a lot of missiles that have not left
Have you ever been to another country ever?
their territory. It's not out of the question that in Iran.
Do you think every country in the world, their kids go to school from, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 7:45 to 2:45, Monday through Friday, get off for Martin Luther King Jr. Day?
Missile impacted inside and caused damage to the.
Oh my God!
An Iranian intercept.
Ban that guy. God damn, he's on my nerves.
Shooting
the Jew guy.
U.S. or Israeli munitions.
We get it. Jews did everything. UN. Somebody just ban him. God damn. Jews did it all. You're right. You got them. They'll never catch you slipping.
Things are falling back to earth. So I think it's worth just being.
There it is.
That have not left their territory. It's not out of the question.
Even an intercepted missile or a missile that's knocked off target but not destroyed, it still lands somewhere. And the fact that it's near an IRGC base, who knows? It could have been a defensive missile that launched, that was shot down, or that never made its full trajectory, right? Fell back down to earth. We've seen that with even though Israel's fucking committing a genocide in Palestine. I'm not going to say they're not. We've seen that with Hamas missiles, where they try to launch a missile and it falls back down to earth and detonates. Something's wrong with it. It could have been a shot down munitions. It could have been friendly. It could have been enemy. It could have been a lot of things that hit the school.
That an Iranian missile.
It could have been a drone that fucking got jammed and lost connection, right? They're literally just strapping warheads to fucking drones and flying them around. Like, Imagine that, just losing connection somehow and falling out of the sky.
Acted inside and cause damage to their own country. And then Iranian interceptors trying, failing, or even when they succeed at shooting down
That's right.
U.S. or Israeli munitions, things are falling back to earth. So I think it's worth just being cautious at this point. Wait to see more information. But as of now, it sounds like, again, at least tragically, at least 85 people killed, most of them young girls at a school in Iran. So we're getting more pictures and videos coming out now suggesting that a U.S. or Israeli strike in Iran overnight may have hit a school that led to the death.
Friday in a lot of predominantly Muslim countries is their religious day instead of Sunday.
So it looks like the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, was killed by an Israeli airstrike earlier today. Now,
There are a lot of boarding schools like that too overseas.
take this with a grain of salt for the time being because we do not have official confirmation. Some of it we might not ever get. Iran, for their part, hasn't said anything. What we are hearing at this point is a couple hours ago, we got confirmation that Khamenei's compound was hit. We saw the pictures of that. Then we heard that Khamenei was most likely injured, if not killed, in that strike, all coming from anonymous sources. Since then,
Oh shit, could you imagine being on a commercial flight trying to get the fuck out of there or wherever the fuck you're going, but still.
we have heard government
up, girl?
officials say it is likely that Khamenei was killed, and Channel 12 News is reporting that Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump have been shown pictures of Khamenei's body after it was drug out from beneath the rubble. That's about where it sits. None of that has been released publicly, so again, take that with the appropriate level of skepticism.
So they claim they've seen the body. There you go.
We do know that Khamenei's compound, along with a number of Iranian leaders, were targeted.
Yeah, but surely he's been underground for like months, right? He hasn't been hanging out in his house.
Targeted in the initial wave of strikes earlier today. And Channel 12 News says that Israel, having coordinated with the United States, dropped some 30 bombs on Khamenei's compound, and that Khamenei was underground at that location.
Okay.
But they said he was not in the two deepest bunkers that only U.S. bombs could have penetrated. So a couple of key notes there. The first one being clearly Israel has penetrated Iranian government sources, the people closest to Khamenei, to know which bunker he is in when they start dropping these bombs. And the second, again, they're making a point to say it was Israeli aircraft, Israeli bombs, an Israeli operation that went in and killed Khamenei. So it looks like the supreme leader of Iran. So the IRGC has started putting out claims that their recent missile and drone strikes have inflicted significant casualties on U.S. forces. U.S. Central
I don't think this is true. We would have probably caught much more wind of this already, but trying to keep up face.
Command earlier today said 0 U.S. casualties from the start of this operation, and they put out another statement just a few moments ago refuting these Iranian claims. Now, we should note that there have been drones and missiles getting through and impacting on or around American bases, and within the last hour, we've seen a number of Iranian missiles impact inside of Tel Aviv in Israel. That said, it does look like Iran is exaggerating the effectiveness of some of these strikes. U.S. Central Command, in a post just a few minutes ago, said the Iranian regime claims to have killed 50 U.S. service members. They say that's a lie. There have been no reported U.S. casualties. They say the IRGC claims that a U.S. Navy ship was struck. They say that is a lie. No U.S. Navy ship has been struck. The Armada is fully operational. They also say the Iranian regime is claiming severe damage at multiple U.S. bases.
We know they've damaged bases. How severe? Who the fuck knows?
CENTCOM says damage to installations was minimal and has not impacted operations. I feel like those first two, it's black or white. Either there are casualties or there aren't. The ships were hit or they aren't. And the U.S. is saying no casualties, no ships hit. The last one, there's a little bit of gray, some interpretation to be had there. Iran saying severe damage, U.S. saying minimal damage, not impacting operations.
It does say the state media 8 minutes ago is saying the Ayatollah is dead.
We've definitely seen missiles and drones get through U.S. air defense and impact on bases. Definitely in Bahrain, maybe Kuwait and Jordan, and it looks like another impact earlier tonight in Qatar.
By the way, Trump just said the other night, like, Iran hasn't said those magic words, no nukes. Literally, just a few hours before that, the Ayatollah was given a speech, and he's like, we will not pursue nuclear weapons. No matter what, we're not doing it now. Like, they're just lying to you about that. But
The U.S., as we're presenting that now, is limited damage, or maybe more importantly, it has not impacted ongoing
The Kuwaiti airport was struck. I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
operations. So the IRGC has started putting out claims that. All right, so this is probably the.
All right, that's what we got so far. School uniform. Iran has attributed the strike to the American and Israeli allies. State media have indicated several different casualty counts, including one of 108, a figure announced Saturday evening by the prosecutor of the Fars news agency. Despite the high toll, footage of victims remains scarce at this stage, even as photographs clearly show a crowd gathered. That was the rest of that article on the school. The Kuwaiti International Airport, I've landed at a bunch of times. It was struck. I don't know what video you saw and if the damage is like the actual damage or if it's a different video, but it was struck. Let's see. Here's a video. This looks like in one of the main terminals here. Hold on. Ali Al-Salim was hit. That's a U.S. military. Knocked it down. That's all dust coming off the ceiling right there. See all the dust coming off the ceiling, panels missing and shit. This is the Kuwaiti International. This is where you would land on a civilian flight. Ali Al-Salim is a military staging base that we used to go to, where you would go through and do some final like checks or whatever while you were there, and then you'd hop on a military flight and go in country. Trying to see what other videos we got of the. That's kind of the same thing. The civilian base, or civilian airport. Of course, targeting military bases. There's a military base in a hotel. This is a hotel in Dubai that was struck. That's the airport again. Satellite image. Oh, here's Ali Al-Salim on a satellite. Satellite image of Ali Al-Salim, clearly with a strike. At least three. When I was there, this was all U.S. ran. I think the outer security may have been like U.S. and Kuwait, but everything inside was U.S. It says, with at least three plumes of black smoke visible, one originating from a large building in the south of the airfield and two other areas that appear to be industrial storage zones as a result of the attack by Iran. There was an article. Did you see that horrific photo of goddamn Trump looking like death? Oh, somebody else shared a bunch of videos. I don't know. Do any of these videos you shared have like dead bodies in them? I don't want that.
Bro. Oh, shit.
I'll pull some of them over here. Let's see.
Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Bro. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Oh.
I'm pretty sure that area of the base was all fuel supply down there on that end. That's what I was looking at. And I've got a zoomed in version of the same picture over here. I can't remember exactly, but it looks like it may be a fuel depot on that side. And that's what's burning.
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
Again, just lashing out of whatever they can,
God.
right?
Oh. Dude, fuck me. A fucking missile actually got through. Oh, there's more. I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Well, he knows what he's into, I guess.
یک تو زدن وای وای زدن
Again, if you put yourself in the Iranian leaders' shoes, what options they have? It's surrender or go all out. I mean, they're going to be killed anyways.
وای وای
یا خدا.
یا امام حسین
شهر موشکی جمع زیدن.
شهر موشکی یا خدا خدا یا خدا خدا.
I think there's one more. Hold on. This says it was shared and it says Iran related footage is hitting Telegram and other places. We'll post a few. Oh, there's two more.
Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya
I just don't want to see troops on the fucking ground, man. Ooh, that's a fast mover, huh? That looks like a military base compound there. When a missile strikes or a mortar strikes, it's almost like you don't even trust that you saw. Like, obviously, you see the explosion. You don't even trust that you saw it. Like, it's moving so fucking fast. You're like, did I even see something? Was that something out? Was that fucking bird or goddamn something in my eye? It's like so fucking fast. It's hard. It's easy to see it when you go back like on camera. It's hard to even tell what it was. Sorry, I'm looking at other strikes.
Israel's attack on Iran.
Let's hear it, Ron Macbeth. AAR or some shit. My bad, wrong video.
From Israel's attack on Iran that occurred Friday, October 25th. And this relates to my How Israel Could Strike Iran video and subsequent correction video. The links to those videos are below. Now that Israel's actually struck Iran, we can talk about what I got wrong, what I got right. And I also want to talk about this whole regional war thing that people are talking about because they're stupid and don't know anything about logistics. So first off, I made a short video just yesterday where I explained how maybe Israel launched that attack on Iran that particular day because it was Simchat Torah. Now, Simchat Torah is a Jewish holiday where you kind of reach the end of the Torah and then you roll the scroll back up and start from the beginning. And last year, Simchat Torah fell on October 7th, and we all know what happened that day. This year, Simchat Torah fell on October 24th, October 25th. So I speculated that maybe Israel attacked on Friday because it was the Hebrew anniversary of the attacks. But basically, every Israeli came out of the woodwork and said, Ryan, you're wrong. Simchat Torah only lasts 1 day inside Israel and 2 days outside of Israel. So technically, it was a day after Simchat Torah that Israel actually struck Iran. You guys really play loosey-goosey with your religion's rules here. I feel like I'm watching an NBA game called by Scott Foster. So I might have been wrong about the significance of the date of the attack, or maybe I was right and they were just late. I don't know. So this probably gets back to the whole joke about 2 Jews, 3 opinions. The next thing I want to talk about is coverage of this particular attack. You saw a lot of people on Twitter harping about how there were no explosions or fires, and look, Tehran is fine. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First off, Israel wasn't necessarily targeting downtown Tehran. I mean, maybe Iran has some valid military targets, and they definitely have valid.
It's good to not see Tehran on fire. Like, I don't know why people would be complaining about that.
Targets in Tehran, headquarters, communications buildings, government buildings, and so on. But it seems like Israel is mainly focused on radar and missiles facilities. There's fewer civilian casualties that way, and it also allows Iran to save face because there's just less likely to be any footage. But I'll get to that. If you're striking these kinds of facilities, surface-to-air missile facilities, radars, they're out in the middle of nowhere. If they're destroyed, you're really not going to have the kind of footage that you can put up on Telegram. Bomb a building in the middle of the city, and people will record it. bomb a surface-to-air missile site in the middle of the desert, you got nothing. I mean, surface-to-air missile sites are strategic level assets that have a dollar value. You're not going to let civilians near them in the first place. And think about it. When was the last time you saw a civilian take a picture and put it up on social media of like a Patriot system, right? Now, I'm not talking about stock footage from journalists, but when was the last time you saw anybody take a picture of a surface-to-air missile system and put it up on social media? Militaries keep these things under heavy guard because they're expensive, and sabotage is also a factor. So I think this had the interesting effect of a lot of people claiming that Iran shot down every missile or every bomb. Or
You know what would have been crazy? If somehow we could have spoke to Iran and got them to sign, I don't know, some type of like nuclear deal, right? To where they wouldn't make weapons grade nuclear material, and they could be a productive part of society. I don't know, something like that. I did a spitball a few ideas. I don't know what I'd call it.
Or whatever. There's really no cell phone-based imagery of destroyed surface-to-air missile systems and radar sites because civilians aren't allowed anywhere near them, whether you're in Iran, Israel, or even Ukraine. So there were a lot of people who were looking at footage of stuff like this and claiming, oh, these are missile interceptions. A bunch of pro-regime people were saying, look, we're shooting down Israeli missiles. And this is triple.
It's weird going in the Epstein files and looking back in 2013. He was trying to get someone to lobby Congress to get authorization for Israel and the United States to attack Iran.
Or anti-aircraft artillery, stuff like this. I am old enough to remember the first Gulf War when the night sky was lit up like this with tracer fire. Iraqis were just randomly shooting in the air at anything. The explosions you see in the video are the shells detonating after an elapsed time. This is a safety feature because you don't want that shell falling back down on your people. And don't get me wrong, AAA or anti-aircraft artillery can be dangerous. If you put enough lead in the air, sooner or later, someone's going to get lucky. Pilots call this the golden BB, you know, that one round that has your name on it that hits your plane by accident. But with the advent of precision weaponry, you can kind of fly over the ceiling of anti-aircraft fire, although that might not solve the problem completely. Deconfliction is a thing. If your mission calls for you to fly down a very specific path and drop your bombs at a very specific time to hit a very specific target at a very specific time, you probably don't have too much leeway as to how you approach the target. A change in altitude or a change in speed for your bomb run, it might throw that time off to hit your target at the specific time. You might also get into a mid-air collision with another plane that's coming in from a higher altitude in a different direction. So if you want to learn more...
Oh, shit. Trump just posted. Hold on. Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and those people from many countries throughout the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs. He was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking systems, and working closely with Israel, there was not a thing he or the other leaders that have been killed along with him could do. This is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. We are hearing that many of the IRGC, military, and other security and police forces no longer want to fight and are looking for immunity from us. As I said last night, now they can have immunity. Later, they only get death. Hopefully, the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together. So we're just leaving them in a goddamn power vacuum. Hopefully, the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots, and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. That process should be starting soon. Should soon be starting in that. Not only the death of Khamenei, but the country has been, in only one day, very much destroyed and even obliterated. Uh-oh. The heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week, or as long as necessary to achieve our objective, peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the entire world. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
About deconfliction, watch my video on how NFL flyovers work. I embedded with the Maryland Air National Guard. I did a whole video about how they plan and execute flyovers for a football game on the last note of the national anthem. And they really are practicing a bomb run, a genuine, honest-to-God bomb run. They're practicing their deconfliction and their climb on target because they have to be right over the stadium with the last note of the national anthem. And it takes a lot of coordination. That video will be available below and also after this one. They also had people that said Israel strikes weren't effective because look at Iran's strike and now look at the footage from Israel. And, again, you have to see how each nation performed their strikes. The real difference between Israel's response and Iran's response is that Iran just threw a bunch of missiles over the fence, like, inshallah, they'll hit Israel and maybe we'll hit some Jews. Israel was a little more precise. Israel also claimed that 20 targets in Iran were struck. In my video, I said that Israel could perform a strike against Iran.
By the way, they keep calling these preventative strikes. And again, whether you agree with the strikes or not, they keep saying preventative strikes. There's international law that talks about preventative strikes, and they require an imminent threat, right? like a missile fucking on a launch pad or some shit, and we know where it's headed, so we're going to shoot it down.
And I estimated that 20 F-35s would be used because that's about the upper limit that Israel's mid-air refueling tankers could support. 20 targets, 20 F-35s, that seems reasonable. It doesn't seem like any nuclear sites are hit, and the only real bomb damage we got was from this industrial facility which manufactures parts for Iranian drones. So that could be an intentional decision by Israel. They might have known that the tanker capacity wasn't enough to support a strike on underground facilities because they just didn't have the tankers to enable all the fighters to drop all the bombs they needed to drop to move away all of that mud and concrete to actually hit the underground nuclear facilities. So instead, they might have just gone after softer targets, places like factories that made drone components, because they're probably less well defended and could be destroyed easier by weapons that could be carried in the F-35's bomb bay. So you might certainly have had...
By the way, there's people calling out how heavily Anthropic was used in the targeting and strikes here, and then Trump's also banning them.
Israel F-15s and F-16s laden with fuel flying outside of Iraq, and then you have the F-35s go in and make these precision strikes. Now, another thing that people were saying is that the Air Laura missile may have been used. This is an Israeli ballistic missile that is super new and derived from the Blue Sparrow, which is an air-launched ballistic missile. Israel uses the Blue Sparrow to test its missile defenses. You know, you fly straight up and launch the missile, and then the missile goes into a ballistic path, and you see if you can intercept it with your Arrow 3. I mean, maybe Israel used the Air Laura. They're probably not going to tell us if they did. People keep showing these pictures of what was supposedly taken in Saladin province in Iraq. So maybe that could be a booster section that fell off of the warhead. There isn't a lot of public data on Air Laura because it's so new. But if this is a booster for the weapon, then yeah, I could see it falling in the open fields north of Baghdad, because perhaps that's where the booster would separate if it had to strike a target in Iran. I just don't know. Now I want to talk about numbers. Both the Jerusalem Post and the Wall Street Journal said that F-35s are involved. We kind of knew that was going to happen. They also said that over 100 aircraft were involved. But that doesn't mean 100 aircraft entered Iran. Some of those aircraft were tankers. Some were air-to-air combat, air patrol aircraft. Some were early warning aircraft, electronic warfare aircraft, spy aircraft. Now, I wouldn't also be surprised if drones were included in that mix as well. Now, the Israeli Air Force released some video and some images.
Why did Iran strike Gulf states? Because a lot of the Gulf states have our radar stations in it. Radar stations that Israel relies on to defend themselves. Radar stations that our bases rely on to defend themselves. They're going after radar stations first to see if they could get more missiles through to better targets.
As you can see, these aircraft are heavily laden with extra fuel tanks, and also not a lot of weapons. This F-15 has one missile on the left wing here. I think that's...
No, Anthropic usually takes a pretty hardened stand. They're saying we don't want to use for mass surveillance. We don't want to use for, you know, like robots that just kill without a human in the kill loop, in the kill chain somewhere. And they've actually advocated for more restrictions before on AI. Like, hey, first of all, we don't even know if it can do this. It might go crazy and just start fucking killing civilians. And then you guys are going to say, well, the AI did it, you know, and you're going to fucking get us in trouble. And then, two, they've never wanted their shit used for mass surveillance. They're also known to donate to lots of politicians. It seems like Anthropic wants to set their own rules, but they don't want the government setting any rules for them. So they want to be able to go to the DOD and say, we don't want this and this. But they don't want the government coming in because they'll donate a shit ton of money to politicians who don't want to pass any laws about AI, right? They don't want that. They don't want their hands tied, but they do want to be able to stand on their high horse and set their own rules. Like, hey, we don't want to be involved in U.S. mass surveillance, and we don't want this autonomous killing machines.
It's a Python air-to-air missile. And as you can see, I believe this is a targeting pod or maybe a jammer pod, although I can't identify the type. It also has one air-to-air missile here, another one here, and here. So this thing went into combat with 4 missiles. 4 air-to-air missiles. That's not a lot. But remember, for every pound of missile you're hauling with you, that's 1 less pound of gas. And you need a lot of gas. And also, we're assuming from this footage that Israel actually flew these aircraft. I mean, maybe. They could just be ready aircraft or reserve aircraft that would take off if the actual strike aircraft or combat air patrol aircraft had a maintenance problem. So maybe these aircraft were staged for the press and the real aircraft are actually flying out of somewhere else. Deception is a major component in war. But if you're doing air-to-air patrols over eastern Iraq, you need a lot of gas. I also noticed that this F-16 had primarily an air-to-air loadout. This might be a Python.
Maybe this is AMRAAM.
Maybe.
Let's say AMRAAM.
So I also kind of find it interesting this is a 2-seater F-16, so maybe this back-seater is a radar operator or electronic warfare officer or weapons operator. Israel also made a very big deal that some of the back-seaters were women. I find this kind of interesting. On one hand, you have a regime that murdered a woman for not wearing a hat correctly. You know, on the other hand, you have a regime that lets women fly fighter jets. Kind of easy to pick a side here, right? So it also seems like most news outlets are reporting that the Israeli Air Force primarily flew over Syria and Iraq and may have even taken out some of their surface-to-air missiles on the way, maybe. that could be a cover story, but Iraq had to be in the equation one way or the other, because unless you want to go all the way around the Arabian Peninsula, you got to go through Iraq to hit Iran. So I think I was right about the route I had in my initial video, but maybe I was wrong about Jordan being used, or maybe Jordan was used and they're just not admitting it. Who knows? But flying over Iraq is an easy call. Anyone with a map can tell you that. Now I want to talk about this whole regional war thing. People like that screaming idiot Seth Abramson, who never served in the military and don't know anything about the military, they start throwing around this term regional war. And you know how snakes and bees have certain colors to indicate that they're dangerous? People who run around saying regional war are kind of marking themselves as ignorant about how the military works and how logistics work. So if someone says regional war, the next thing you need to ask is how? How do we do the regional war? Like, let's unpack this, bub. How would a regional war happen? And when they don't answer you because they only have surface level knowledge of the military and logistics, you'll know they're full of it. So that's kind of like the equivalent of stripes on a bee here. You know they're dangerous because you know they don't know what they're talking about. Back in 1970, there was this hippie movie called What If They Gave a War and Nobody Came? Well, what if they gave a war and nobody had the logistical capability to actually fight it? Both Israel and Iran have short arms and short legs when it comes to logistics. Neither country has expeditionary capability to actually prosecute a war very far outside of their borders. You know, Israel can kind of go into Lebanon a little bit if they have to. If Iran absolutely had to, they could probably go into Afghanistan.
Neither one of them really have legs, right? They don't have this ability to stretch out and fucking fight a sustained war at either other country. It's hard enough to get a load out from one to the other.
Afghanistan for a little while, but what they can't do is invade each other. Iran cannot invade.
Right.
Iran can't invade Israel. Israel can't invade Iran. All they can really do is lob.
Look how hard it is for Russia to muster and sustain an army in a ground war on its own fucking border.
At each other and maybe throw the occasional aircraft at each other. And that's going to get expensive. And that kind of leads us to talk about what's next. When Iran fired ballistic missiles at Israel on October 1st, 2024, they probably wasted about $1 billion for a freaking photo op. And while they're always
Israel would have to go through, I think, Jordan or Syria, then the entirety of Iraq to get to Iran.
There seems to be enough money for a war. At some point, you're going to have to realize that your strategy isn't worth the cost. So I actually don't see Iran responding with another ballistic missile strike. I mean, maybe they might use proxies to try to do something, but they don't need an excuse to do that, right? And sometimes the proxies just kind of like doing it on their own. You know, any real damage to Iran has been restricted to military facilities. So, you know, the footage really didn't get out of the public internet. So Iran doesn't really lose any face. And also, I think that Israel is...
Well, so it doesn't... Nobody's really been tested. So Anthropic, Claude, is the only one that they're actually using to engage targets, right? Anthropic is the one. They thanked it basically unilaterally for setting up the Venezuela mission, laying out targets and shit. They are using other AI softwares internally for debates and fucking decisions and shit like that. But as far as like combat, Claude is the only one they're using by Anthropic, it seems.
Back in 1970, there was this at Israel on October 1st, 2024. They probably wasted about $1 billion for a freaking photo op. And while there always seems to be enough money for a war, at some point, you're going to have to realize that your strategy isn't worth the cost. So I actually don't see Iran responding with another ballistic missile strike. I mean, maybe they might use proxies to try to do something, but they don't need an excuse to do that.
So if they end up banning Anthropic will stand to lose a shit ton of money. I don't think it's fake. I don't think it's like a whatever. The only fake thing is, as Anthropic might say, well, you know, we tried to fight, but they really got us over a barrel here. We're just going to have to do it. We didn't want to, but we got to do it. That's the only thing I could think that could be like fake. But they'll lose millions and millions of dollars on federal contracts if they get designated this supply chain risk. And they also threatened that Donald Trump would use the Defense Production Act and just take it from them, right? Just force them to give them the ability to use it in any way they want.
Right. And sometimes the proxy is just kind of like doing it on their own.
So I don't think Anthropic is like fucking peacocking over here just saying, oh, you know, they're going to ban us. And really it's just so they could get more money or, you know, a better deal or some shit like that. I think Anthropic's legit worried. With as much money as Donald Trump's administration is using AI for, they're solely the ones used in combat. They were single-handedly used in the Venezuelan attack, and now they're threatening them. Like, I mean, it's wild that they're standing up for their morals. It's crazy that we don't have a fucking Congress that would stand up and do this instead of the goddamn company.
real damage to Iran has been restricted to military facilities. So, footage really didn't get out of the public internet. So Iran doesn't really lose any face. And also, I think that Israel has proven the value of the F-35 as the world's premier strike platform. I'm writing another video right now about Johnny Harris's incredibly error-ridden video about military spending, and he criticized F-35 in like the first minute of the video. Johnny, when I'm done with you, you're going to go back to doing videos about maps. Maps. One final thing, it was tankers that enabled these strikes. So grab one of my Alcoholics Moving Cargo t-shirts from Bunker Branding, where I also have Spice Brown patches, so you can put it on your uniform and wear it until someone notices you. It all goes to putting new tires on my car. $1,400 for tires, Elon. $1,400 for new tires because you got to make them run flats. Maybe you should fix Tesla's tire problem before you go to Mars, Elon. I'm just saying, right? Thank you guys so much for watching.
Oh, wow, Daddy's sick.
Alcoholics Moving Cargo is a military joke for the Air Mobility Command, AMC, I guess. On the surface, it might seem like Israel's strikes on Iran didn't do anything, but that is because most of the targets hit were surface-to-air missiles and radar sites, where civilians with cell phones would not normally be allowed. Also note that Israel may have struck manufacturing facilities precisely because their lack of tankers would not enable the mission and ordnance requirements to target underground facilities. Watch the original video, watch my correction video, watch my video on NFL flyovers. Okay. I wonder what's going on TikTok. What do the youngins think about it? Yeah, you think we would have Congress step up and be like, hey, we understand like the military's, going super fast and AI is the next fucking wave here. But how about we put a law in place that we can't have robots deciding who to kill and who not to kill? The mass surveillance thing would probably be a lot more complex, but it's not hard for Congress to present a law, a clean bill that just says, hey, anytime you want to kill somebody, whether you're the military or whatever, you have to have at least one human in the loop who says, hey, yeah, that's a good target, right? Not just, fuck it. Let the robots decide who's good, who's bad. Ooh. I can't believe, like the Republican Party I grew up with, there is no way that they would lose the smallest inkling of power to the president. It was always, that's the president's job. No, he let us do our job, and this is our job. And they would fight over everything in between. And now the Republicans, even when they had, a Republican in office, they'd be like, that's not his job. He needs to stay in his fucking lane. Now they're just like, he does what he does, and we hang out over here and talk about the Epstein files and how we can hide them more.
By now, President Trump has launched a massive military operation in Iran. Trump said today that a large number of Iran's leadership and even the supreme leader was killed. But the question is, can Trump do this without Congress? First,
even Anthropic, who has an incentive to sell fucking, autonomous fucking killing machines or autonomous kill chain logic or whatever, right? So we find a bad guy, make sure he's a bad guy, decide what weapon to use the weapon, confirm the bad guy's dead, that kind of loop there, are saying like, we don't know that it would always choose the bad guy or choose not to kill a good guy or an innocent person. So if they're scared about what this can, like, why the fuck is everybody else like, they'll figure it out?
by now, President Trump has launched a massive military operation in Iran. Trump said today that a large number of Iran's leadership and even the supreme leader was killed. But the question is, can Trump do this without Congress? First, let's be very clear. The United States Constitution gives the power to declare war to Congress, not to the President of the United States, period. However, over the years, several presidents have relied on Article 2 of the Constitution, which gives the president, in his capacity as commander-in-chief, the power to direct U.S. military forces in actions that the president believes protects America's national security and interest abroad. But usually, that only happens when there's some kind of imminent threat or an emergency. So the question is what's happening in Iran a war? Or is it a limited presidential military action because there's some imminent threat to national security or an emergency? Well, let's start with how Trump himself defines it.
major combat operations in Iran. The United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
That's 3 different definitions. Let's start with Trump calling it a war. We know that if that's how he defines it, he legally cannot do this. But he also called it a major combat operation, which then sort of puts it in the category of the bombing of Iran last summer and the military operation to capture Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. But it's his last description that makes this whole thing very fuzzy. Trump called it a massive and ongoing operation. In fact, he just posted that the heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week, or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. Now, if he's going with that definition, that makes this operation different than the one in Iran last June and different than the operation in Venezuela. Those were strike, boom, in and out, over. But now Trump is saying this military action in Iran will go on as long as necessary. And it's the length of this operation that may be one of the things that undercuts Trump's Article 2 justification. See, many Republicans and Democrats in Congress were very skeptical that Trump even had the constitutional authority to carry out the first limited strike in Iran and the Venezuela operation. But those sort of slid through because, as I said, the scope and length was limited. In fact, Trump's own Justice Department issued a legal justification for the Venezuela operation, saying it did not rise to the level of war because of its limited scale, scope, and duration. What happened last night is clearly different. So far, the Trump administration has only said the reason for this operation is Iran refused to give up its nuclear program, and they may have missiles that could hit our allies, and down the road, they could threaten the U.S. homeland. Now, that's not technically an emergency or an imminent threat because that's been the situation for years. As for Trump's explanation that the nuclear program is a threat, he also said in the same breath in that same video that the U.S. military obliterated Iran's nuclear program last summer. So which is it? It can't be both obliterated and also threatening the U.S. homeland at the same time. On top of that, the Trump administration has not given any legal justification for Operation Epic Fury, and most importantly, has not defined what constitutes success and how we get out of this. It appears right now that Trump is relying on the unarmed and generally unorganized Iranian people to rise up against what's left of the Iranian regime, including the armed and well-organized Iranian security forces, to achieve his goal of peace in the Middle East.
Take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond.
Back home, most Republicans in Congress seem very pleased with Trump's actions in Iran overnight. But most Democrats and even some Republicans definitely do not think that Trump has this kind of constitutional authority. Now, there is a war powers resolution ready to go in both the House and the Senate that would limit Trump's ability to keep doing this with the U.S. military, specifically in Iran. We'll have to see if the House and the Senate move forward with either of those resolutions this week. By now, you know President Trump has launched a massive military.
Here is some behind-the-scenes stuff from Axios. It seems like they got somebody maybe pretty high up in the administration. So let's read this. This is kind of like a timeline kind of deal. It's the article is called 2 Months, 2 Tracks, How Trump Chose War with Iran. This looks like an interesting story. There's that dead picture of Trump. Hold on. Look at that. Look at that motherfucker. He is looking goddamn rough. At least they don't have Twitter open in the background like they did when they were attacking Venezuela. Anyways. All right. As Israeli bombs fell on the Supreme Leader's compound in Tehran on Saturday morning, the Ayatollah Khamenei was meeting above ground with several of his top advisors. Well, not in his deepest bunker. He never saw it coming. The U.S.-Israeli operation that killed Khamenei was the culmination of 2 months in which President Trump pursued both diplomacy and war on parallel tracks. On Friday, he chose war. The crisis, which began with a public uprising in Iran in late December, was vintage Trump, full of twists, last-minute reversals, and deliberate disinformation. In the end, the ambiguity was itself a strategic asset, leaving Iran's leadership vulnerable to the largest aerial attack ever conducted by the Israeli military. The seeds of Saturday's operation were planted in late December when Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu visited Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Anti-regime protests had just begun in Iran, and it wasn't yet clear how significant they would become. Netanyahu used the meeting to discuss a follow-up to last year's joint strikes, mostly focused on Iran's ballistic missile capabilities, tentatively planned for around May. Within days, the calculus changed. The regime cracked down with full force, killing thousands of protesters. Help is on its way, Trump wrote on Truth Social, urging protesters to take over government institutions. On January 14th, Trump was on the verge of ordering strikes. We heard about this, but pulled back. Instead, he ordered a massive military buildup in the Middle East. This is when we started seeing everything go to the Middle East, and began secretly planning a joint operation with Israel. Over the following weeks, the Mossad director visited D.C. twice, followed by the Israeli military intelligence chief and the IDF chief of staff, all coordinating what would become Operations Epstein's Fury and Roaring Lion. The other track. At the same time, Trump explored whether military leverage could produce a deal with Iran on his terms. The U.S. and Iran met in Oman in early February for the first time since last June's 12-day war. Days later, Netanyahu traveled urgently to Washington to discuss U.S. red lines in the negotiations and whether the U.S. and Israel would launch a joint military operation if the talks failed. From the start, Trump's envoys, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, were skeptical about the chances of getting a deal. But 3 U.S. and Israeli officials stressed that initially nuclear talks in Geneva were not a complete ruse. Initially, they weren't a complete ruse. Trump wanted to try to reach an agreement, and the Iranians were told explicitly that military strikes would occur if we did not see real progress on a real deal very quickly, a U.S. official said, between the lines. A week before the Geneva meeting, the U.S. and Israel agreed on a potential window for launching the attack. So even before this meeting, they're like, here's our attack window. The coming Saturday, when Khamenei held a routine meeting with his top aides at his government compound. But they faced a specific challenge, keeping Khamenei from suspecting anything and retreating to his deepest underground bunker. They are saying now he was in a bunker, just not his deepest ones. An Israeli intelligence official said on Axios story that mentioned the possibility of assassinating Khamenei created anxiety. So an Axios story that this newspaper wrote that talked about the possibility of an assassination made Khamenei anxious, right? Created anxiety amongst military planners, but the Iranian leader did not change his plans. So he took that meeting today. The final talks. When Kushner and Witkoff traveled to Geneva on Thursday, they already suspected there was no deal to be had, but still went through with the meeting. That kept the Iranians believing diplomacy was alive. So it kind of lulled them into a false sense of security. One of the rules of deal making is that you have to know very quickly if there's a deal to do or not, a U.S. official said. In the room, the Iranians hadn't come close to even the most flexible U.S. position. After the first session, Kushner and Witkoff called J.D. Vance on a secure line and told him the gaps were still wide. A second round that evening of negotiations changed nothing. Kushner and Witkoff saw that the Iranian proposal was bullshit and only meant to buy time, a senior U.S. official said. There wasn't any there to work with. Another official summed up Iran's strategy as games, tricks, and stall tactics from the start. We reported this to the president, and obviously he weighed the different options, the official said. U.S. officials said there were 3 areas they could not get Iran to agree on: the nuclear program and enrichment activities. The U.S. offered Iran free nuclear fuel for a civilian nuclear program indefinitely. In exchange for giving up their enrichment, the Iranians said no. It was a big tell, one official said. The ballistic missile program. The Iranians refused in every instance to discuss their missile capabilities. We cannot continue to live in a world where these people not only possess missiles, but the ability to make 100 of them a month in perpetuity to overwhelm any potential defenses, one official said. Financing of regional proxies. Iran also refused to address its financing of militant groups across the region, which the U.S. and Israel say have destabilized the Middle East for decades. Behind the scenes. But I wonder why we never talked to like Saudi Arabia about all the terror that they fucking sponsor. It's weird. Or the UAE. Why don't we talk to them about all the terror that they sponsor? You know, no? Anyways, behind the scenes. Before and during the talks, U.S. officials said intelligence made clear Iran was already rebuilding nuclear facilities that Trump claimed were obliterated in Operation Midnight Hammer. When Commissioner Witkoff asked for a concrete proposal, the Iranians produced a 7-page document outlining enrichment needs they claimed were for civilian purposes. Trump's team checked the numbers with the UN's nuclear watchdog. Quote, this would result in enrichment capabilities roughly 5 times more than laid out in the 2015 nuclear deal, one official said. Well, wouldn't it be nice if we still had that 2015 deal? No? Okay, never mind. Sorry. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button if you're watching. I don't know where everybody come from tonight over on YouTube. That was wild. Officials also said Iran had been secretly stockpiling enriched material at the Tehran research reactor under the guise of medical research. Quote, never once did they use any of the fissionable material there to make even a single medicine, one official said. It was all designed to deceive. Whoever this official is sounds as dumb as Trump. All these quotes. Reality check. This account is based largely on statements by the U.S. and allied officials in the aftermath of the strikes and could not immediately be verified by independent sources. The final hours. After Geneva, Oman's foreign minister flew urgently to Washington and met with Vance on Friday in a last-ditch attempt to delay Trump's decision. But the president had already made up his mind. When an Arab official asked Witkoff on Friday whether an attack was imminent, the White House envoy dodged the question and refused to answer. On Saturday morning, Khamenei convened his aides as U.S. and Israeli planners had anticipated. 2 other gatherings of Iranian security and intelligence officials were taking place above ground in Tehran at the same time. Minutes later, all 3 were struck simultaneously. If the Iranians had come to Geneva and given Trump what he wanted, he would have pulled the brakes on the military track, but they were arrogant and thought he wouldn't take action, an Israeli intelligence official said. They were wrong. Damn. It's wild what we can do nowadays. You know what I think would be the craziest time, though, for a war? Like, wars now are, like, scary and crazy and drones, but we've, like, seen some crazy shit. Could you imagine being in World War I? Like, at the beginning of World War I, there were still people wearing, like, metal armor into battle. And at the end, they were running over people with tanks and fucking shooting off fucking gas bombs of poison and airplanes and shit. Like, that's wild, dude. Like, there were still people with, like, metal helmets with big fucking feathers stuck out the top. Like, that's insane to think about. World War I was just fucking wild, dude. I don't know how I got started on that. I was in the back of my head thinking about drones, and I'm like, man, what would it be like to be like fucking a knot and World War I pops off? And then by the end of it, we got fucking airplanes and people fucking throwing out dirty bombs and chemical warfare out the side of it. And it's crazy. Fucking crazy. Let's go to YouTube, see what they got. MAGA is fractured. The Don Carlin, yeah. I've heard it's a really good. I've heard that you have to pay for it. Is that the one? You have to pay for it, but it's like hours and hours of something, and you buy it from his website and download it and something, but it's really good. I've never listened to it. Oh, is this bike? I know this is a sidetrack chat, but check this out. Is this bike finished? So there's a new Harley. What the fuck happened? There's a new Harley that's electric. What? And they challenged, I don't know if you guys know who Gas Monkey Garage is. They challenged Gas Monkey Garage to make it into a chopper, to take it to like the world's biggest chopper show. It's called Mama Tried. I want to see if the bike is finished. That's all I want to see. So give me a second. Look at that. That's bad as fuck. That's bad as fuck, dude.
On top. That's good.
I just want to see the finished bike. We don't have to watch the video.
Haven't heard. Well, I'm glad you're listening now.
That Harley challenged a bunch of different shops to do it. One of them was Gas Monkey. I don't know who the other shops were, but Gas Monkey's been doing their video thing because they don't have a TV show anymore.
Make your way over to the main stage. We got a great reveal that's going on.
That's cool, Josh Cheese.
Thanks, man.
Okay, here's the reveal. Dude, that looks bad. I'm not a big fan of all the chrome, but even painted, that looks bad. And there's an old school chopper. I guess the inspiration for this one. This is more of like they just decked out a sports bike for this one, it looks like.
Crap, brother. Fucking dope. It's fucking insane. It is. I like yours. I love it.
That's bad.
So yeah, we kind of did punk rock performance.
Let me show you what it looks like. Hold on. When you see how it started, maybe. That's a good image. Open image in a new tab. So this is how the bike started, right? This is how the bike started, and then they fucking chopped it out of this. That's bad as shit. I wish he'd get out of the fucking way, but that's cool.
You know, this is really a chopper. Fantastic.
Where's like the beauty shots?
You know,
get all the people off the camera and show the bike.
We're bringing a freaking electric bike to a chopper show, but I think it turned out really freaking cool. Ricky, Richard, everybody, we all knocked it out of the park. I love it. And I think it's time to go actually enjoy, the fruits of our labor, huh?
Absolutely. I got to tell you, people are like, ooh, electric. Well, you know what? About 100 years ago, there was probably some of it.
That's pretty cool.
I want you in front. So I had the I dig it in.
That's a guy named Sugar Bear, I think, that makes the damn front forks and shit. The Springer front end. That's a cool ass bike. I don't know. Either way, I didn't mean to get sidetracked, but that was cool. I'm not a big fan of Gas Monkey. I'm a big fan of Aaron Kaufman, their old mechanic. I like Aaron Kaufman. I think he's a legit dude. But I think Richard Rawlings just fucking talks too goddamn much.
Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, is dead. Killed in an airstrike earlier today as U.S. and Israeli forces kicked off.
Wait, is that Preston Sturr? Okay.
Military operations in Iran. So today we're going to get into what we know about this decapitation strike, updates on U.S. and Israeli military operations, as well as the continued Iranian response, and what to watch for in the coming days. Now, a few hours ago, we started to get indications that Khamenei was targeted, then maybe injured, maybe killed, and finally, from President Trump, confirmation of his death, with the president saying, quote, Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and these people from many countries throughout the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs. This is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. We're hearing that many in the IRGC, military, and other security and police forces no longer want to fight and are looking for immunity. He says, however, the heavy and pinpoint bombing will continue uninterrupted.
I don't know. The IRGC, they also have, what is it, the CUD, Special Forces or whatever? I don't know that they're just turning over so quickly as Trump puts it. You know, he's known to exaggerate.
Throughout the week, or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. And just a few hours ago, we did get a note from Senator Tom Cotton saying that the campaign against the Iranian regime is set to take weeks, not days. So be ready. By all accounts, it looks like this is just beginning.
I don't like Richard Rawlings or really care for Gas Monkey, but a cool EV chopper, that is cool.
In terms of the details of the strike earlier today that killed Khamenei, the Times of Israel said Israel's initial strikes on Iran this morning reportedly targeted some 30 key Iranian regime leaders and military chiefs during a meeting headed by Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. An unsourced Channel 12 news report says that Israel, having coordinated with the United States, dropped some 30 bombs on Khamenei's compound and that Khamenei was underground at that location. As of this recording, we don't have any footage showing that strike. We very well might get that. Israel in past decapitation strikes against Hamas or Hezbollah has released that footage. We have satellite imagery showing the results of that strike. And I do want to stress that Israel is making clear that this was an Israeli operation. Israeli bombs dropped from Israeli aircraft by Israeli fighter pilots. The United States was involved. We coordinated with Israel, but this specific going after senior regime officials, the senior regime official, was an Israeli operation. Now, on the U.S. side, we are starting to get more information about Operation Epic Fury, as it has been named.
It seems like we use tomahawks and shit to take out the defenses and offenses of the country, and then Israel came in and was like, okay, we're targeting people.
Central Command put out a note a few hours ago saying, quote, U.S. and partner forces began
the Great War. I'll check it out.
a.m. Eastern time to dismantle the Iranian regime's security apparatus, prioritizing targets that pose an imminent threat.
Like a V-Rod or something, Dr. J? The V-Rod was the one that was like their like production kind of crotch rockety, more look like a crotch rocket.
A.m. Eastern means daylight in Iran, which is one of the ways that the U.S. caught the Iranian regime off guard. Is generally speaking, these attacks have happened at night.
I had a V-Rod for a couple years.
Revolutionary Guard Corps command and control facilities, Iranian air defense capabilities, missile and drone launch sites, and military airfields. They quoted Admiral Brad Cooper, the commander of U.S. Central Command, saying, quote, the president ordered bold action, and our brave soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, and Coast Guardsmen are answering the call. They say following the initial wave of U.S. and partner strikes, CENTCOM forces successfully defended against hundreds of Iranian missile and drone attacks. And importantly, they said there have been no reports of U.S. casualties or combat-related injuries. Damage to U.S. installations.
Just wait till they're using AI on foreign countries to know when a fucking high school kid just has the idea to join the military. Predictive fucking attack.
Was minimal.
Take him out with a drone.
And has not impacted.
Oh, he was going to join the military in 24 to 36 months, and might as well get him young.
Operations. More on that in a second. We're going to come back to some of these claims that, in fact, the U.S. put out a note kind of refuting some of the statements made by the IRGC as to the effectiveness of these strikes. CENTCOM says the first hours of the operation included...
Was it? I did not know that.
Land and sea. Additionally, CENTCOM's Task Force Scorpion employed a low-cost one-way attack drones for the first time in combat. Operation Epic Fury involves the largest regional concentration of American military...
I know it came out right around 2000, 2001, 2002, early 2000s. But I did not know it was their first liquid-cooled bike.
In a generation. So we don't have details on the one-way attack drones. These things look a lot like the Iranian Shahed-style drone, kind of reverse-engineered from that, I would imagine. You have to, right? With the design look. Either way, we don't know the numbers. We don't know the targets. We don't know a lot of details there. But low-cost one-way attack drones were utilized by the United States in the strike. And Iran is continuing to use those, striking not just military, but civilian targets across the Middle East. Now, in terms of the time...
So we're using cardboard drones now.
Here, CNN actually put out a report suggesting that Iran was considering preemptive strikes, which pressed the Trump administration into taking action and saying go with military force.
By the way, you guys remember when we talked about cardboard drones and we talked about how radar works and we talked about weather balloons and the fact that we could detect a goddamn pigeon if we wanted to. Like if we turn the sensitivity up enough, we'd see like fucking mosquitoes flying. The problem is at some point you have to like be like, well, how much do we want to fucking see? You know what I mean? How much do we want to see on our screen? Or we want to pick up every fucking bird? Well, no, not really. But what we want jets and planes and shit. So somewhere in between is like the drone game. Well, that's where everybody panicked when the first cardboard fucking glider drones came out, right? And people were like, can we even pick them up? Can we see them? And now you've noticed we've been having a bunch more scares around fucking Mylar balloons and fucking weather balloons and shit going. Like we've had a bunch of scares. The fucking DOD tried to launch a laser at a goddamn party balloon the other day and shut down all the air traffic in El Paso. Well, that's because we've increased the sensitivity around all of our systems and we're picking up a lot more shit that we didn't used to pick up or didn't care to pick up before because of the threat of drones.
Forces beginning strikes earlier today. They quoted an administration official saying, quote, we had indicators that they intended to use the missiles potentially preemptively, and the president decided he was not going to sit back and allow America's forces in the region to absorb attacks from conventional missiles. We're not going to be held hostage by them, and we're not going to let them hit us first, because it would have substantially increased the risk to our troops in the region and to our allies. And this is something we've talked about in recent videos, the possibility of an Iranian preemptive attack. They're not stupid. They watch the buildup of U.S. military power. And if they think that a U.S. and Israeli strike is inevitable, it is to a degree in their best interest to try to strike first to catch us off guard. Sounds like that's what CNN is reporting here, is that they were at the very least considering that. I do want to mention that in that article, they say a source familiar with the intelligence contradicted this assertion, saying there were no indications that a preemptive attack from Iran...
Dude, I'd fly an ultralight in a heartbeat.
...was being planned. Now, turning to the Israeli side, they're providing more and more...
My boss's male friend, boyfriend, whatever, has a plane he's selling right now.
Detailed information.
I couldn't even afford to keep it in a hangar, so it doesn't make shit to me, but it'd be nice to fucking own a plane.
On their operation.
Learn to fly.
With a number of graphics and videos saying, quote, since this morning...
I've really been... I need chat to talk me out of this. I've really, 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 really been looking into a full collective throttle fucking, pedals and yoke and shit helicopter setup to fucking do helicopter flight sims. Not a like a HOTAS, like for like an aircraft and a yoke and shit, but a full goddamn helicopter.
In approximately 200
the collective pitch.
IDF intelligence and the Israeli Air Force completed an extensive attack against the missile array and defense systems of the Iranian terror regime in western and central Iran. They say this is the largest.
There's a guy on YouTube that does this wild shit, dude. He does like backflips and shit on video games and like drops off troops and they fucking hop out on, he's playing Arma. He like fucking goes in and drops people off and does the wildest shit. He's always barefoot while he's doing it, but he's got a helicopter sim and it looks fucking badass.
Military mission in the history of the Israeli Air Force conducted.
You're right, butter knives.
And based on high quality intelligence.
Or as the robot would say, butthole knives.
Butt knives says, if you want to spend 30% more for a rig, then do it.
Wow, that sounded kind of aggressive. I wish I wouldn't have done that now.
Synchronizing hundreds of fighter jets at the same time. They say the Israeli Air Force fighter jets dropped hundreds of munitions, targeting approximately 500 objectives, including aerial defense systems and missile launchers in a number of locations in Iran. Simultaneously, the strikes on the defense systems allowed the expansion of the Israeli Air Force aerial superiority over Iranian territory and severe.
Dude, I swear, I have not seen, like, okay, I live in an area that's sparsely populated, and there's a lot of farming here. A lot of farming here. There's a very fertile valley around, like, the river that just flooded and tried to kill us all. There's a lot of fertile farmland around there, and there's like tomato places, strawberry places, beans and shit that they ship out all over the country, right? Big farms. I have not seen them using drones the way that other big areas are using drones. If I had the money, that might be an idea that I looked into deeply. Like, hey, can I get an ag drone? And do I think I could carry enough business to start a business doing that and stay in business? Because there's still crop dusters and shit going on here, and it's so much cheaper to buy a fucking drone than it is any other. You're not going to use a crop duster cheaper.
Severely damage the offensive capabilities of the Iranian regime, including the launch sites in western Iran. Now, Israel does not have 200 F-35s, so they're not flying all stealth fighters over Iranian airspace. That number leads me to believe that the F-35s were likely taking out some of the Iranian air defense assets in the western portion of the country, clearing the path temporarily in a portion of western Iran for
some good footage, though,
like F-15s to come in and carry out additional strikes. 200 is a big number. That's a massive aerial campaign already kicked off by Israel. Now, in terms of the effects of these strikes so far, the spokesperson for the Red Crescent Society reported that over 200.
I mean, what do you... War sucks, dude. Like, I was all gung-ho at one time. I was like, yeah, let's go make fucking Iraq freedom or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but imagine just being the guy that is just your job. You don't have a choice. You signed up. Somebody tells you what to do, and your job is to drive the missile truck. Right? You're not trying to fuck with nobody. You know what I mean? Like, it's just somebody's telling you to do it. It's your job. War fucking sucks.
200 people have so far,
for everybody,
more than 740 injured. That was as of about 3 hours ago. I expect that number has probably changed, and we should note they do not break that out between military and civilian. On the military side, we have seen a significant number of senior officials already taken out, at least according to the IDF. They shared some graphics here saying the operation earlier today began with a preemptive strike.
It's one thing when you're like on the front lines and I'm shooting at you and you're shooting at me, I will kill you every fucking time, right? But when there is no war going on and you're just told to drive this truck to another place and all of a sudden you fucking explode. Like, I don't know.
Strike after the IDF identified several locations throughout Tehran in which senior officials of the Iranian defense establishment had gathered. And just running through this list, and keep in mind, on top of this list is Khamenei. Now we can add him to this, but very similar to what we saw during the 12-day war, Israel has cracked the inside of the Iranian security apparatus to be able to carry out effective strikes against their leadership in real time this frequently. Either way, according to Israel...
So, hold on, I'll show you. We're coming back to this video, don't worry. But there, DJI and other companies, I think DJI is kind of getting illegal to buy in the United States right now. But there's so many here already, I could just buy a used one. But I honestly think...
strike after the IDF identified...
Damn it. With like crop sprayers and shit on it. I honestly think I could probably make a business around here doing this shit. Like they just go around and spray the fucking fields, the fertilizer and the fucking weed killer or whatever, right? Whatever needs to be sprayed. They have these big ass fucking tanks. They land, you fill them up, they take off, and they just spray everything. And it's so much cheaper than like a traditional crop duster, and clearly cheaper than like driving paying somebody to drive a tractor through a field or walk through a field or drive whatever through a field and do it. The Agris, the T30, I think is the biggest one. This motherfucker's huge, dude.
First year they became.
Yeah, now we can use Roundup everywhere.
Spots in fields are the four. Pretty much.
Let's see if he flies this motherfucker. Just talks about it for a while. All right, there he goes. And you kind of just program a route, right? It's all GPS locked in.
A 32-foot width.
Okay.
Capable of spraying up to a 32-foot width. That's insane. See all the spray heads on it? Lifting capacity is probably like 200 pounds or something. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're spraying. Obviously, you don't have to spray the whole field if you're fucking going along the edge and goddamn killing weeds or something. But if it's like some type of fertilizer or some shit that you're putting on the whole crop, you have to spray the whole field. There it goes. I just don't think this is... I know this is happening places. I don't think it's happening around here yet that I've seen. It might be a time to get into it. All right, back to it.
They eliminated the secretary of the Iranian Security Council. They say is one of the leaders of the Iranian security decision-making process and the personal advisor to the supreme leader for security affairs. In that same, or I guess they don't say that this is all one strike, but in a series of strikes, they also killed the commander of the IRGC, the head of the intelligence directorate, the head of the military bureau, the defense minister, the chairman of the Organization for Defense Innovation and Research, and then a former chairman of that same organization who had advanced the nuclear weapon production efforts. Notably, it does not look like the nuclear facilities have so far been targeted. More on that when we get to what we're watching.
Yeah, doesn't Iran have the Quds, which is their like special forces or some shit? It's spelled with a Q, Q-U-D or something, K-U-D, Q-U-D.
For here in the coming days. Now, we did report earlier today, initial news coming out that a school was hit in Iran. We did get a report or a statement from the U.S. saying, quote, "We are aware of reports concerning civilian harm resulting from ongoing military operations. We take these reports seriously and are looking into them." Again, the U.S. military spokesperson speaking on the claims that a school was hit earlier today. Iran has since updated their numbers, saying that more than 100 people were killed in that.
So you would have to have a Part 107. First of all, the drone's too big. Second of all, you're using it for commercial. Like, that drone's so fucking heavy, you'd have to have a Part 107 license.
Attack. Again, Iran is saying that a school was targeted and struck by the United States or Israel. The U.S., the only thing I've seen so far is the U.S. saying we are looking into it. And as mentioned in this morning's video, there's a wide array of possibilities still. There's more unknown than known. I do want to say that just the nature of all of this, right away I saw a lot of people looking at the video and the clip saying that this is Afghanistan.
So that's another barrier to entry, that someone's not just going to go, like a farmer's not going to go out and buy a drone and be like, I'll do my field and do my neighbor's field too if he needs it. Because there's like a licensing and stuff you have to keep up and paperwork and flight plans you have to, like, it's too much of a hassle. So that's a barrier that someone else might not do it, but someone that started their business could and be like, well, I've already got all that done.
From 20 years ago or Pakistan 4 years ago, the video location has been geo verified. Like, we know for a fact that's where it is. The cause of the explosion is what is still being looked into. We'll do our best to update you as more information comes out. Turning to the Iranian side, their foreign minister continues to be kind of the key spokesperson, with putting out a statement earlier today saying, quote, "They're engaging with their counterparts from brotherly neighbors to clarify that Iran is solely exercising its right to self-defense under the UN Charter. They say Iran will not sit idly by as the United States attacks our people. They're regretful that the targets that they are striking are located in friendly states." And we'll show in a second here some of the strikes being carried out across the Gulf states. He said, "I do not know why the U.S. administration..."
Yeah, so crop dusters don't begin to even come close unless we're talking about massive, massive, massive acreage, right? Because it costs so much to get them up in the air, but once they're in there, they do, like, this is ideal for like smaller fields, or especially fields that you don't want, that aren't easily to fly, you know, a full-size aircraft around. Or there's a lot of fields you just don't want compaction, right? You don't want to be driving around on the field all the fucking time to spray or do this or do that. It's too big to walk, but you also don't want to be driving on it. But crop dusters start getting closer in price when it's a gigantic field, when it's already up. Right, because you already paid to put the plane up. Now you've got 3,000 acres to do. Okay, a crop duster might be better.
Insists on beginning
or get closer to being better.
Iran in the middle talks. The same thing happened last June. 48 hours ago, even Oman's foreign minister confirmed. He says, "We do not understand the reasons for the U.S. attack on Iran. Perhaps the U.S. administration was drug into it. Here's what I do know. Iran will punish those who kill our children. Our enmity is not with the American people who are being lied to yet again." And a quick note on the middle part there, the U.S. striking in the middle of negotiations. You know, we're talking about how this is kind of the last step for Iran. They're largely viewing this as an existential threat, all or nothing. They've got to go all out or the regime could fall.
Hills too, really hilly area. That's still being farmed.
We also
better for drones.
Recognize that negotiations with Iran are no longer going to happen. I mean, this is whether you think it's the right move or the wrong move, this is 2 times in the last 8 months that the United States has talked about negotiations and scheduled the next round of negotiations, and then in the middle of that, begun military operations. So again, however you feel about this issue, if you're Iran, it would just be silly of them to think that the next time something different would happen. Now, we have seen a continued drone and missile attacks being carried out by Iran across the Gulf all day, a significantly larger and more robust response than we saw during the 12-day war. Notably, they are not just targeting Israel, although we did see, and I think it was the 3rd or the 4th wave of missiles fired from Iran earlier today, at least a few impacts were recorded in Tel Aviv. So the most recent information I have there is that around 7 people were verified as having been wounded. Again, very limited information coming out of Israel showing the effects of these strikes, although we are getting a little bit from the Home Front Command showing that certainly some locations have been hit. There's certainly some damage. We don't quite know the extent of that damage. Iran as well has kind of branched out. We're seeing them continuing to hit U.S. bases. We documented this morning a couple Shahed drone strikes against U.S. military facilities, specifically the naval base, the head of the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. Looks like it was taking a pretty significant, couple significant strikes earlier today. We saw additional footage of more Shaheds targeting the Fifth Fleet headquarters, and then some other military bases, possibly Jordan, possibly Kuwait. The footage isn't exactly verified there, but over the course of the last couple hours, we have seen, there were Patriot interceptors, what appears to be an attempt to shoot down an incoming Iranian missile. It looks like the missile gets through, right? Always hard to tell with some of this stuff. It was partially intercepted, if it missed. Either way, that was in Qatar, the Al-Adid Air Base. We're seeing a significant uptick in Iran going after civilian targets. So a number of drones impacting apartment buildings and commercial civilian areas in Bahrain. We saw the Dubai International Airport was hit earlier today. There's been a few impacts already in downtown Dubai. The Kuwait airport was hit. And what you're looking at here is Iran trying to do everything they can to get the United States and Israel to stop attacking inside their country. So they know they cannot go toe-to-toe with the U.S. military. That shouldn't come as a shock to anyone. And they're largely not trying to do that. What they're doing by going after the UAE, going after Bahrain, going after Qatar, going after Kuwait, and our other partners in the region is trying to get our allies to come to the United States and say,
I honestly think they know. They have to know if they shoot down if they somehow shoot down a U.S. aircraft, like they're fucked, right?
hey, this is too much. This shouldn't be bleeding over. What's happening? And maybe forcing the United States to dial it back, reallocate air defense assets to protect places like Dubai, or ideally for Iran, stop it altogether. So we're seeing a bit of the crazy work of Iran here. Again, we have to view this through the lens.
I won't do it, Dr. J.
Like they're throwing everything they got. They are risking turning the entire region that is, most of the region is already against Iran, but for the most part, these countries are just kind of standing by, and some of them turned off their airspace and said the United States will not fly over to strike Iran. So to show you how dangerous a situation the regime is right now, they are risking all of that in the hopes that these strikes in, say, downtown Dubai will turn enough of the Emiratis against the United States and force Trump to halt the strikes. In that same vein, we did get a notification earlier today. The commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said that they have shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which is a significant traffic hub, commercial traffic hub, right there off the coast of Iran. This has always been a concern. They have the ability to do this relatively easily, just based.
Iran just stated that they are going to hit very hard today, harder than they have ever hit before. They better not do that, however, because if they do, we will hit them with a force that has never been seen before. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. What the fuck?
Based off of the control they have on land and the ships they have in the water there, wouldn't take a lot. We saw this with the Houthis effectively shutting down the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. You don't need to sink every ship. You just need to increase the risk that it's going to happen. That said, it doesn't look like any ships have been targeted so far, and I'm seeing occasional reports that some ships are still transiting in that area, just kind of prepared that something more could happen. That, too, is the type of thing that risks turning the entire Gulf against Iran. They are hoping that before it gets to that point, the pressure is too much and it forces the United States to back off. Now, for the first time since these strikes began, Iran is now claiming that they have inflicted casualties and significant damage on U.S. forces across the region. The fourth statement, coming from the IRGC earlier today, said in the fifth wave of the operation, they hit a ship in the Jebel Ali port, hit by 4 drones and completely disabled. They said they targeted the American naval base in Kuwait with 4 ballistic missiles and 12 drones, which led to the destruction of its main infrastructure and caused a number of deaths and injuries among American forces. Also saying that they hit an MST-class combat support ship in the Indian Ocean. Now, the United States, for the most part, we've not responded to any of this. All right, we don't have any video verification showing that any of those strikes took place or that they were effective if they did take place. CENTCOM actually put out a note pushing back here on a couple of these key items. They said the Iranian regime claims to have killed 50 U.S. service members. That is a lie. There have been no reported U.S. casualties. They said the IRGC claims that a U.S. Navy ship was struck by missiles. They also say that was a lie. No U.S. Navy ship has been struck. The Armada is fully operational. They say the Iranian regime is claiming severe damage at multiple U.S. bases. That is a lie. They say damage to U.S. installations was minimal and has not impacted operations. Now, those first two are kind of black and white, right? Are there U.S. casualties or no? And the U.S. is saying no, 0 casualties at this point, which is crazy, by the way. The fact that we're, this far into this operation, this many sorties that have been flown, this many bombs dropped, missiles fired, and this many senior Iranian officials eliminated for 0 casualties is wild. Just so you know. That's kind of a black or white. Either they are or they aren't. The U.S. is saying there aren't. When it comes to ships being hit, they are or they aren't. And the U.S. is saying they aren't. The damage is a little bit different, more of a gray area. I mean, again, we have seen the footage that very clearly Iranian drones and missiles have impacted at a number of U.S. bases across the region. The U.S. has said that that damage has not impacted operations. So maybe that's how they're viewing the lack of damage. But I will say that just based off what we've seen, there is damage. 100%. It's just the scope of it. Maybe Iran is playing it up and the United States is perhaps playing it down a bit. Now, in terms of what comes next, we are continuing to keep our eye on the Iranian proxies. Again, that is far from a worst case scenario, but it makes things much more difficult if the Houthis and Hezbollah and Hamas, to the degree they can, and the militias across Iraq and Syria rise up and start attacking U.S. forces or Israel. Not a lot quite yet. From the Houthis and Hezbollah, they've essentially said we stand with Iran, but they haven't said anything about carrying out operations. We did get what might be the first proxy attacks. The Islamic Resistance in Iraq put out a note saying they'd carried out like 12 or 16 drone attacks against American forces in Iraq. I've not seen that confirmed by the United States, and that specific group has in the past, like they do carry out drone attacks and mortar and rocket attacks, all that stuff. They've also just made stuff up at times. Like
I wish he'd fucking send us there. All of them.
Proof at all that it happened. And they'll just say like, yeah, we launched like 7 drones at Israel. And everyone's like, we have no idea what you're talking about. So sometimes there's a PR move there. Worth keeping that in mind. But as of now, the proxies have not really been on the radar. We are going to want to keep a watch on the pace of the Iranian missile attacks. It has not really slowed down at all. Iran put out a statement earlier saying that they have moved from their older missiles to some of their newer, more advanced missiles. Now, whether that's the reason that we saw some get through in Tel Aviv earlier or a matter of overwhelming air defenses or Israel being low at certain times on interceptor missiles, we don't know. But Iran is saying they're transitioning to some of their fancier stuff. We'll see how that shakes out. But also, it's a big question of how many Iran has available, right? So we know that this is a domestic manufacturing process. They have bunkers supposedly full of these missiles able to reach U.S. bases across the region as well as Israel. We don't really know how many they have. We don't really know how many they lost during the 12-day war, how many are not salvageable. All of that is a bit up in the air, and the next couple days will be telling if Iran is able to keep up this pace of missile launches throughout the region. Now, over the next 12 hours, I would expect to see an increase in U.S. air power over Iran, possibly even going after their nuclear facilities. I don't know that we've seen much manned U.S. aircraft in the skies over Iran quite yet. It looks like most of the strikes have been carried out by standoff munitions. Those that were air-launched, likely still standoff, going after air defense assets and kind of clearing a path for, say, B-2 bombers and maybe even B-1 bombers. We'll see, but manned aircraft overhead. To that end, we did get a note earlier today from David Albright at the Institute for Science and International Security, maybe? ISIS is the acronym. I'll put it up here. It's great. You got to come up with a new acronym if it's ISIS. Anyways, they say they have been monitoring satellite imagery of the nuclear...
At the good ISIS, which is funny.
...facilities, and as of today, it does not look like any of them were hit. They say so far, no evidence of airstrikes against these facilities at Natanz, Pickaxe Mountain Complex, Esfahan, and Talgahan. They say the tunnel entrances to Pickaxe Mountain remain open and accessible. Only 2 of the 3 Esfahan entrances are visible in the Esfahan image and show no damage. It shouldn't be a big shock. We haven't heard any claims that the United States or Israel has gone after the nuclear program, but based off of what President Trump said in his statement first thing this morning, how this is, if not one of the big red lines, the Iranian nuclear program, and they're pursuing a nuclear weapon, you would expect that something would be done with those facilities, going after them again. In fact, that was...
Somebody said, no way you were over 5'10". I'm not. I'm 4'3".
The major argument in recent days is that Iran or Israel and the United States saying there are indications that Iran is restarting their program and has the idea to pursue a nuclear weapon. So the nuclear facilities are likely on the target block. I would not be shocked if we see those hit from heavy bombers here, large U.S. bombers, over the course of the next 12 to 24 hours. But that's all we got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
On a good day, to be honest with you. On a good day, about 4'3". I'm just a couple inches out of a fucking booster seat. The merger that needed a war? Wait a second. What is this?
At the time I'm recording this video, Israel has just struck Iran and the United States is almost certainly right behind them. But I need you to focus, okay? Because today, the same day that those missiles hit, Oracle has quietly...
Whoa.
Announced that the U.S. government has just authorized it to run generative AI on federal government data, your data and my data. The contract is titled Federal AI with a DISA impact level of 5. That means that Oracle can now run artificial intelligence, meaning pattern recognition, automated analysis, and decision-making tools on the Department of Defense mission data, on classified intelligence systems, and on your Medicare record. And you'll never guess the AI model that they're using to run across all of these records. Grok. Elon Musk's XAI on top secret government data on your healthcare records all through Oracle. And that announcement went up on Oracle's blog the same day that every newsroom in America was pointed at Tehran. Now, I don't want to tell you what to think about all of that, but I will tell you this. The last time we went to war with the Middle East, Larry Ellison used all of the chaos to lock down the UK's entire government data infrastructure. And I went over all of that in another video, which I highly recommend you watch after this, because the British are still fighting these surveillance apparatuses and digital IDs that came out of it to this day. And he's doing it again. Except this time he's after us. Before you write this off as Israel's idea and is dragging the US into it, remember who funds Netanyahu's entire military. Larry Ellison does. Remember who controls Israel's entire war data infrastructure. Larry Ellison. And Larry Ellison is in the middle of closing a lot of deals right now, and Congress is about to be too busy with...
I don't even think anybody knew that was an animation you could activate.
War to stop any of this. So we have to stay focused, because I don't know about you, but I'm not about to live in some Orwellian surveillance future without putting up a fight first. This week, David Ellison's Paramount Pictures reached a deal to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, and we need to talk about Oracle's role in all of this. This is a roughly $111 billion merger, and it's the largest media merger in American history. Also this week, Oracle won a landmark contract from the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services to host Medicare and Medicaid chip and ACA marketplace.
I'm 6 foot tall on the dot, barefoot.
Data for more than 150 million Americans.
You're welcome.
And a few days before that, Oracle picked up an $88 million task order for the Air Force cloud operations on top of the top secret clearance it already holds for all 18 U.S. intelligence agencies. So in the span of a week and a half, your Medicare data, Air Force operations, and the largest media company ever assembled now has AI authorization to process all of it, and it all landed on the same company's infrastructure controlled by the same family. Oh, and now we have a big old war in Iran to distract us from the fact that they're migrating all of this data over and going to train these AI models on it, and then it'll be too late by the time we notice. I'm Dre, and this is the Dre Dossier, and I'm tired. Quite frankly, I'm exhausted. If you've been following my coverage of the Warner Brothers situation with Netflix and Paramount, then this is the next layer to that. I've covered Oracle on this channel plenty before, along with Larry Ellison, through Stargate and AI warfare, through federal infrastructure stories. But I have to be honest, when it comes to this Paramount Pictures acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery, I think I completely overlooked the data element of this. Because, oh my God, that is a huge part of this. I was so deep on the media acquisition side of this and the effects that this is going to have on journalism and CNN that I didn't even register this the way that I think I probably should have at the beginning. Because I was reading through different...
That's what I said earlier, Book Girl, how Republicans used to fight tooth and nail to be like, this is our power, and the president can only do this, and they can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And now they're just like, whatever he does, he does.
Reports from analysts on this acquisition, and there was one that reframed the entire thing for me. And while everybody's making the media monopoly case about this, which is a case I've made myself, I think the more consequential angle here is the data acquisition angle. And we need to get very real very quickly about what it means to have Oracle sitting beneath American media, American healthcare, American defense infrastructure all simultaneously, and what Larry Ellison has already shown you what he wants to do with that kind of position. And because I'm getting tired of just talking about a lot of problems without a lot of solutions, I've written a full report on this, a policy brief with over 45 citations that I'm going to be sending to Congress, and we're going to get more into that at the end. That's going to be linked on my Substack, The Dre Dossier, along with being linked in the description below so that you guys can see and follow along if you'd like with what we're about to discuss. So Oracle is not a company that many people think about in their day-to-day lives. You know, it doesn't make something that you as an individual can buy. Oracle is an enterprise cloud company, and it builds and operates the underlying systems that institutions run on. It's what this freaking war is running on. So that's anything from databases to cloud storage to software infrastructure. So if you've ever logged into a corporate HR system at some large organization and ever wondered who built this thing, which I don't know why any sane person would have that thought, but there's a reasonable chance that Oracle built it. That's the point I'm trying to make. Also, a little detail that matters is that Oracle's first customer was the CIA. And I go into all of that in depth in another video, which I recommend you checking out. But the TLDR is that the company literally got its name from the CIA database project from 1977, just to give you an idea of where we're starting here. And what Larry Ellison has done when he's been in that position, when he has the chance with all of that power, is the reason that this new merger with Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers Discovery should scare you. Because between 2014 and 2024, Oracle had quietly assembled one of the most powerful data collection operations in the entire world. And this was all done through a very clever series of acquisitions that most people have never heard of, and each one did something very specific. So first, he bought Blue Kai, and Blue Kai embedded invisible tracking pixels on websites, and one by one, a pixel with a transparent image that you could not see would appear on your screen when you entered certain websites. So when you loaded one of those pages and one of those pixels...
I've showed you tracking pixels before, back when we were talking about marketing, and I showed you how you could use Facebook tracking pixels to see who showed up, when they showed up, what they were doing, where they went on the website, everything, right, once you open that website.
Pixels had popped up, your browser would ping Blue Kai servers, and it would transmit your IP address, your device information, your browser type, all of that, and set it with a tracking cookie that you could not delete. And Blue Kai was on websites like Amazon, ESPN, Forbes, The New York Times, MSN, and it was estimated to be tracking over 1% of all web traffic in the world. Then Oracle bought Datalogix. Datalogix connected what Blue Kai was collecting about your online behavior with what you did offline. So your in-store purchases, your loyalty cards, any of your credit card transactions, all of that. So now Oracle was starting to build this chain where it knew not just what websites you visited, but it knew what you bought afterward, where you went afterward, who you saw afterward. And then Oracle acquired the company AddThis. You've probably seen AddThis without even knowing it. It's those little share this on Facebook, tweet this buttons that are basically on every website everywhere. And AddThis was on over 15 million websites, reaching 1.9 billion unique users a month. And even if you never clicked on a single button, you never tweeted anything, you never shared this to Facebook, AddThis was still collecting your data just from you loading the page. And we know this because in 2014, ProPublica exposed AddThis for using something called canvas fingerprinting. So basically, whenever you pulled up one of those websites that had one of those little buttons, your browser would be instructed to draw a hidden image completely invisible to you. And because every computer would render that image slightly differently just based off of your hardware, your graphics card, and even your fonts, it created a unique fingerprint for your specific device. And ProPublica even said that it was virtually impossible to block. And it was found on everything from the White House website to adult pleasuring websites in the same sweep. And what Oracle did was merge all three into the Oracle Data Cloud. And that combined system built what the industry calls an identity graph, which is a profile that connects a real...
So it knows you online, it knows you offline, it knows about you, and it knows what hardware you're using. Everything about your computer.
Person to their behavior across every device, every website, every purchase. And the federal lawsuit that eventually brought all of this to light called them the Oracle Digital Dossiers. And Larry Ellison even...
Yeah, that maybe I'm just crazy, but that's the way I feel. Maybe that's why I'm not rich, right? Because I wouldn't fucking stab somebody in the back for 2 cents when I'm a multimillionaire. But goddamn. Isn't there just a time where you're like, I just want to go fucking chill, dude? Like, you guys keep fighting over the next $1 million. I'm good.
and stood up at Oracle's own investors conference in 2016 and told the entire room that Oracle's data business had information on over 5 billion.
I tell you, every time I go to one of those adult pleasuring websites, I always leave a little genetic fingerprint behind.
Billion consumers worldwide. For a little context, there's 8 billion people on the planet, and he was tracking 5 billion of them. Now, Oracle later disputed the characterization, but the $115 million settlement suggests that the underlying operation was real enough for a federal court to take seriously. Consider this my digital dossier on him. Yeah, that's right, two can play at that game. Oracle built the Oracle Data Marketplace in 2016, which was a store where advertisers could basically say, I want to reach women who are aged 25 to 35 who recently searched for SUVs and have a household income of around $100,000. And then Oracle could find those exact people thanks to the digital dossiers he had built. And the reason he kept acquiring all of those companies is because
before the Cambridge Analytica shit, I used to advertise for, there was a job I did for a while for like small businesses and specifically car lots, but also other small businesses on Facebook. The targeting on Facebook was fucking scary, dude. Like how much you made and what you had done and what you had purchased recently and how you know, what school your kid went to, like just crazy shit that you could target with on Facebook. But then Cambridge Analytica happened and become known, and they put a bunch of restrictions on it, and then it got less specific.
He realized that the value was not in any single one of them, but rather in the combination of all of them. Knowing what websites you visit and for how long is interesting, sure, but knowing that, plus what you buy in stores, plus what prescriptions you fill, plus your income, plus where you physically go during the day, plus what you eat for dinner, all of that is worth some real money for someone who's trying to sell you something. And for years, it worked. It was a multi-billion-dollar operation until a class action lawsuit accused Oracle of building surveillance profiles without consent, and Oracle had to pay out $115 million to settle it. And the legal wall started closing in for Larry Ellison and Oracle from every direction, and in 2024, Oracle shut the advertising business down entirely. Well, almost entirely. I guess tracking people across the internet without their knowledge became legally unsustainable. Who would have thought? But remember, there's a whole other buyer for this kind of data, and they have deeper pockets, fewer regulations, and a growing appetite. That's right, governments. Larry Ellison has always been in the business of selling access to people to the highest bidder. And the second version, which is the version he's always wanted most anyways, is the surveillance infrastructure sold to the most powerful institutions on earth. That marketplace doesn't face the same kind of regulatory pushback that killed the ad business, because it is the regulatory system. That's why there's this video of Tony Blair and Larry Ellison in Dubai in 2025 standing on a stage in front of a room full of heads of states pitching this.
As a rule, there'll be a handful of these models. The question is, how do you take advantage of these incredible AI models? And the first thing a country needs to do is to unify all of their data so it can be consumed and used by the AI model. If you want to improve population health, you have to take all of your healthcare data, your diagnostic data, your electronic health records, your genomic data. And you know, in the Middle East, in the UAE, for example, they are incredibly rich in data. They have a lot of population data. The NHS in the UK has an incredible amount of population data, but it's fragmented. It's not easily accessible by these AI models. We have to take all of this data we have in our country and move it into a single, if you will, unified data platform.
And the infrastructure play serves both of these markets at the same time, because everything flows through you as a matter of routine operations. You don't need invisible pixels or canvas fingerprints anymore. The digital dossiers were the proof of concept. The infrastructure is the execution. Okay, so here's what Oracle currently sits beneath. Larry Ellison recently purchased TikTok through a consortium board, and Oracle is the designated technology partner that sits beneath TikTok's U.S. operations, which has 170 million Americans using it. It's also worth noting that Oracle has had to retrain the recommendation algorithm from scratch, meaning that it has to actively audit all of the outputs, review the source code, and then use that to then train the algorithm further. And it does that for each individual user, mind you. So it watches what you say, what you stop at, what you click on, what you linger on. Like, it can tell if there is a piece of lint on your phone screen. So effectively, Oracle and Ellison are the partial owners and operating partners of the most powerful content recommendation system that has ever been built for an American audience. And as it turns out, Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount Pictures aren't the only media companies that Oracle sits underneath. Sinclair Broadcast Group, which is roughly 185 local television stations reaching about 40% of American households, also has Oracle sitting underneath it. So if you live in Nashville, Seattle, or Baltimore, your local news is probably Sinclair. And Sinclair's own vice president and treasurer confirmed on camera that Sinclair runs the entire financial system, supply chain, and payroll on Oracle Cloud. Yeah, apparently before Paramount, before Warner Brothers, Oracle was already running the back office of 40% of America's local news. Oracle also manages electronic health records for over 9 million veterans and active duty service members. And I went digging around the SAM.gov database tonight, and what do you know? I found out that as of 2 weeks ago, Oracle won that CMS contract, which is Medicare and Medicaid for more than 150 million Americans. Now, the person Oracle hired to lead its health division is Seema Verma, who previously ran CMS itself from from 2017 to 2021. And the HHS Inspector General investigated her tenure and found that she mishandled millions of contracts. In 2022, Congress passed the Preventing Organizational Conflicts of Interest in Federal Acquisitions Act, which was designed specifically for situations where former officials would end up on the other side of the contracting table. And I can't seem to find any public record that indicates that anyone has checked whether that law applies here. So Congress, Oracle also holds top secret clearance across all 18 U.S. intelligence agencies and the Department of Defense, or Department of War if you're a weenie. And it works alongside Palantir in that federal data ecosystem, which if you followed any of my AI warfare coverage, then you would know that that's very significant. And the timing of all this with the strikes in Tehran is very interesting, considering that this week Anthropic, the company behind Claude, is in a public dispute with the Pentagon over whether its AI tools can be used to mass surveil American citizens. Anthropic said no, and the Pentagon pushed back, and everybody started boycotting ChatGPT, and now I guess OpenAI is kind of in this like, oh no, we don't do that either, wink wink. And when you think about the fact that Anthropic has those two guardrails, no matter how thin they might be, and the fact that Oracle has no equivalent guardrail on record at all, you have to wonder what Ellison is really going to do with all of this data. And Anthropic's refusal came down yesterday, and the strikes in Iran came down today, and Oracle's AI authorization, the one that lets them run generative AI on all of our government data.
She said it's all posted in the description in her
Stargate LLC, $500 billion AI joint venture that is with OpenAI and SoftBank, the Japanese bank. But Oracle is building the physical backbone there, and the first data center is already operational in Abilene, Texas. Oracle is also supporting CBS News, Paramount Plus, MTV, Nickelodeon, and has already been migrating all of that data over to Oracle Cloud for the past year. Now add on HBO, Max, CNN, Warner Brothers Pictures on top of all of that. Now, does hosting all of this data mean that Oracle can just read your Medicare file while you're watching HBO? No.
Well, if they end up having to fuck up Iran pretty bad, they'll be the ones that go in to rebuild it, right? That's what they're doing now with Palestine.
Allegedly. Oracle's federal cloud environments, according to the company, are physically separated from the commercial ones, and that's just a technical fact. But here's what that separation does not cover. The same company, the same executives, the same AI teams, the same data science capabilities work on both sides. And while that might sound benign,
oh, thank you for the subscription. Discombobulated.
Larry Ellison has told you on stage to investors exactly what
Discombobulated for real just subscribed.
Appreciate it.
he wants to do with all of that data that Oracle hosts. In fact, at AI World in October of 2025, Ellison laid out Oracle's next phase.
And we'll attach that model, the model of your choice, to not only the public data, the model's already connected to the public data. That's done. But we give you the ability to add your private data to the model's library of information and knowledge.
Fucking clankers, man. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
So the model can reason across not just public data.
I'm angry and it's misdirected.
But also private data, while keeping your private data private, not sharing it with anybody else.
Yeah, so it sounds like the big opportunity is letting AI reason on private data, which could mean financial data, enterprise data, healthcare data. I mean, he already told the entire room that Oracle's databases already contain, in his words, most of the world's high-value private data. I mean, he flat out described AI agents that would connect patients and hospitals and insurers and regulators and banks into one single automated system. I mean, he's already rebuilding the entire Cerner healthcare records platform with AI-generated code just to make this happen.
Is one of the reasons we feel so good about our efforts in healthcare, that we can rebuild the Cerner code, the Cerner code base. We can rebuild the entire Cerner code base, modernize it using AI, build a modern version of Cerner by generating it. And we got all of the code for clinics operating already. And next year we'll have all acute hospitals. We'll have rewritten everything that Cerner wrote over.
She keeps a Substack, so it's here. Plus, she keeps a Substack with all of it as well. The dredossier.substack.com. I've also sent this to every member of the Senate Antitrust Committee. If this connects the dots for you, I generally encourage you to do the same. There's a template message, all the contact, everything's on our Substack.
Quarter of a century we'll have rewritten in 3 years.
So that was always the vision. And today's authorization, the one that's in his blog post, is the permission slip. And it just got signed. Oracle's own description of what AI can do on government systems from their own announcement includes interpreting government policy for benefits administration, automating data analysis by processing large volumes of records and identifying patterns, and powering AI chatbots for citizen interaction. Apply that to CMS. Apply that to 150 million Americans' health records. Apply that to the DoD. They're not hiding what this does. They're just announcing it on a day that no one's watching. So when Oracle tells you that its federal and commercial environments are separate, sure, technically that's true at the server level, and yet he has the same AI system reasoning across all of it. How do we know that they're not cross-pollinating those files, how can we with any certainty say that all of this data is remaining separate, that the conclusions that the AI is drawing from them is remaining separate? And this merger looks a hell of a lot worse when you see how it's funded. Larry Ellison is personally guaranteeing $44.6 billion of this acquisition, backed by his Oracle stock shares. And Oracle stock price depends on those federal contracts that we just talked about. And the government pays Oracle, and then that revenue supports the stock price. And then Ellison pledges that stock to finance his son's purchase of the largest media company in America, a media company that also runs on Oracle. And when the government is paying for Oracle, where are they getting that money? Oh, right, from us. Public money flows into Oracle, and then the Ellison media empire comes out the other end. And yet,
everything sucks, dude.
Filings that I've read, Oracle is
what a shitty fucking timeline.
Listed as a neutral third-party vendor. Are you kidding me? You can't get any less neutral than being a node in every single part of this chain. This is an Ouroboros of Oracle eating its own tail. It is literally the infrastructure, the collateral, and the beneficiary on every side of the same transaction. Where's the neutrality? Not to mention the $24 billion.
We watched one of her other videos that linked something, and I was like, damn, this is fucking interesting. Like, she put in some fucking work putting all this together. And I can't remember what it was. It was a while back. The ballroom, all the ballroom stuff and the contractors and subcontractors and how much it was costing to build the ballroom. And really, was it like an AI data center or like a fucking bunker underneath? Like, what the fuck was going on? She did a really good ballroom video.
Of this deal that is also coming from the Gulf Sovereign Wealth Funds. And now you have Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, and those are the same funds that are also co-investing in Stargate, another Oracle project. The same governments that Ellison was pitching his unified citizen database to in Dubai. So set aside the Oracle shares for half a second here, and the money that's financing the largest media acquisition in American history is coming from the same foreign governments that Oracle is building surveillance infrastructure for.
I need to start rubbing elbows with some of these fucking billionaires that just throw around money for shit. That's what I need to do.
We have China connected to TikTok still, where Larry Ellison now owns and has Oracle seated under that data. And yet the combined Paramount and Warner Brothers will reach a comparable, if not larger audience with more first-party data. And that system is all operated by the same family doing the acquiring, with AI authorized to process government data on that same infrastructure as of today. So I guess my question to Congress is, what governance has been required? What data separation exists between your HBO subscription and your Medicare records, both of which now live inside Oracle's cloud? So circling back to what I mentioned at the beginning, this policy brief that I wrote asks for three main things: a formal conflict of interest review before the merger closes under the laws that already exist for this specific reason, data firewall requirements modeled on TikTok, and Oracle treated as a related party, not a neutral vendor. And the brief includes a lot of questions that I think David Ellison should answer under oath. And again, this will be linked in my Substack and in the description below, but I'll read two to give you an example. The first one: what specific firewalls exist to prevent Paramount's WBD audience and behavioral data from being accessed by Oracle personnel who also administers federal health and defense systems? Two, my favorite question: has Paramount, WBD, or Skydance received any analytical products, audience insights, or data derived from Oracle's federal health or government contracts informing its content strategy, advertising approach, or acquisition rationale? And I'm sending this to every member of the Senate Antitrust Subcommittee, both sides, Republican and Democrat. Surveillance is a bipartisan issue. Cory Booker has been pushing to get David Ellison under oath, and Ellison keeps declining, and the March 4th hearing got canceled the moment the deal shifted from Netflix to Paramount. Now, on my Substack, I've posted every senator's name, office, and contact information, along with a message you can copy and send if you want. It would be really helpful to me. By the time you're watching this video, I've already sent my brief to all of the names that I've listed. The shareholder vote is March 20th for WBD and Paramount, so that's our window. And I know a war just started, okay? And I know that that's where your attention's going to be. That's where Congress's attention's going to be. I know that Congress is about to spend every hearing talking about Iran. And that's exactly why the timing of this matters right now. Because the people who benefit from you not paying attention to this are counting on exactly that. They always have counted on exactly that. Ding, 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 ding. Consider this my warning bell, because the pipes are being built right now. Your health data, your entertainment data, your news, your government secrets, all flowing through one company, one family, with AI authorized to process it and no one required to watch. We saw with Doge how fast this stuff happens. If we don't start asking right now who should be allowed to own this infrastructure before the March 20th date, then we might not get another chance for a long time. And there'll always be a new distraction. Every data point about you is merging into Oracle right now, which is exactly why they needed a war.
Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
What? Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting what's going on.
Which is exactly...
That doesn't sound scary at all.
Citizens will be on their best behavior.
Remember when they used to tell us that this is why we had to hate China? Well, they got a social credit score and they're monitoring everybody and they know what everybody thinks and what they're doing, and you're not allowed to speak out about it. Same thing with Iran, right? They can't even protest over there. Isn't that scary, guys? Aren't you all scared? Now they're like, yeah, we're recording everything and sending it to us. That's the new people we just send everything to. They'll figure it out.
Behavior, because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on, and it's unimpeachable.
I kind of hate it here. I want to see what's Gotcha Man doing.
Well, daggone, I've angered a few folks, haven't I? It's all worked up. How much are you willing to go to bat for this dude? You think he even knows? Not for real. I've gotten a few good laughs over the weeks. I have to thank the most of you, really, because after I got off work the last couple of days, you guys have really given me a good chuckle. Just seeing a couple people tagging me and coming at me. They're so upset. And I don't know, what are we doing? Running for America's next top?
Sign up church shit.
Like, y'all, that's some weird behavior. And they all say the same thing. It's weird.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody has. I don't think people are properly, like, you know, you do have that group of people. It's like, you don't know what they're doing. Read the terms of service, but no one does, right? Everybody's just like, oh yeah, go ahead, whatever. I'll do this and automatically report that and do that. I think everybody's done that.
Weird for a guy to talk about another guy. You know what's weirder than that? For a guy to be upset and talk about a guy that's talking about another guy. I mean, there's no more threads left in the coattail to ride on, dog. What are you doing? What are you doing? And like I said, do you think Jerry even knows that you're taking up for him? I doubt it. The pressure's usually on me to make the funnies and get people to giggle, but you guys have gotten me laughing all week. I've said this before, but I think you guys are a little bit confused on what this really is, for me anyway. This is for fun, right? And I'm gonna tell you, if a guy lights himself on fire right in front of me, I'm not only gonna watch, but I'm probably gonna talk about it. I'm probably gonna be like, hey, look, that guy's on fire. And then I might be like, hey, at one time, this guy actually was flameproof. Never thought he would catch fire. Things have changed. And then you're gonna be like, man, won't you leave him alone, Jim? Yeah, and it just so happens that the guy that's on fire that I've been filming set himself on fire. Yeah. And a bunch of his buddies and lifelong friends and family members came running in with fire extinguishers. And he said, no, your fire extinguishers are sex traffickers. You know. And it just so happens this guy had a little bit of momentum. Pretty good amount of momentum, actually. He was doing pretty good for himself. And wasn't afraid to rub that in. Actually, he quite enjoyed himself, rubbing in how successful he was and how much power he had in the lane that he has momentum in. Which, hey, that comes with it. That's part of it, right? I mean, when somebody gets there, especially when they get their own momentum and, you know, pretend like nobody helped them get there, that's another story. Either way, still, that comes with it. Regardless of how you got successful, that's your right to brag about it. Also, whenever you light yourself on fire and call the police on all the firefighters and buddies coming in, you know, and he's only doing that because he knows the real truth. Anyway, just so happens, it's also people's right to point and laugh whenever they fall off of that pedestal that they sat atop of, rubbing in their fame all these years. It's part of it, man. And for all these weirdo losers to come out and try to stop somebody from pointing and laughing at this dude.
We're talking about the fall from grace from Ryan Upchurch, right? He's like a crackhead, paranoid, lost his kids, lost his friends, lost his baby mama, lost his lost everything.
Fire. Y'all need to get some mental health.
If you don't know what the background story here is.
Y'all for a minute, because listen, I really ain't going for this Ryan stuff here lately. No, and I'll tell you why. I mean, number one, the guy's trolling himself at this point. I mean, when you gain 100 pounds and 80 of it's in your gut, and then you put on women's black leggings and call the police.
God, the day he's on that body cam wearing fucking leggings is wild, dude.
Subpoena the body cam footage and share it with the masses. Yeah, you're trolling yourself. And that seems like on purpose. I don't know how you even gain 80 pounds just in your gut. That fast, too. Who knows how he done that? I bet he does. He's definitely trolling himself at this point. But I've watched a couple of the clips and a couple of the things that's come through in this last week, and I'm like, I ain't going for it. I'm like, I get a gut feeling that this dude's begging for it at this point. And he may have been begging for it all along. And if that's the case, then you got me. That's cool. You got the gotcha guy. But Jim Bob ain't going for it. Speaking of Jim Bob, y'all that follow me on Facebook would have seen the Mr. Steal Yo Girl picture. I found an old grade school picture of me and posted it on there. I legit look like that meme where they were like, save some for the rest of us, Kyle. That was before I thought that I was a cowboy and got kicked in the mouth by a horse. Didn't have a fat lip just yet. Jim Bob ain't going for it, man. Anytime, just like when Daggy was trying to all of a sudden lean into it a couple years too late, you know, and he was like, hey, look, I got a couch in my studio. I'm going to lay on it all day and not go to work. And, oh, hey, look, I'm lighting a cigarette in my house. I'm smoking in my house. Talk about it, guys. I'm smoking in my house. I'm not going for it. And let's be honest, that's what this dude is doing. He knows good and well. All right, I got to quit putting those little clips in there. I'm going to tell you something right now. I know the dude appears pretty crazy and pretty out there. Scratching your tattoo off is pretty extreme.
I wonder if he's done any more. Hold on. We got to check on this. Sorry, I can't not watch a car wreck. All right, let's see if he's added any story stuff.
had me some lunch.
A bunch of story stuff.
Woke up 3 o'clock this morning. Changed the shitty diaper. Watched Elmo knock the nuts. Cooked breakfast for my little girl. Now I'm full and I want to take a nap, but I can't. I ain't got no time to take a nap. Gonna head over here to this new property that I bought the other day by the ballpark in Pigram. I'm gonna go in there for the first time and see how much remodeling they're gonna have to do over there. Me and Kalani been busting our ass on this new album. The nighttime hours, it's almost done, and then he's gonna take it back to Texas and make some master this mug. Me and my team are looking for a consistent video guy who will make some money. I'm gonna switch my distribution, so gotta go over that today so I can get my music redistributed to somebody else. And I'm probably gonna make a fire and try some hot chocolate and simmer down around here. I hope y'all having a good day. Also, does anybody got a dually Ford Platinum for sale? I'm always looking for a dually Ford Platinum. Preferably 2017 and up. All right. Look at this cute ass location. You got the little caboose, you got the train station, you got these nice houses being built, entrance to the ballpark, and then boom, you got this cute little baby back Buick. Ah, that's so cute. What do you say, Wick? It's beautiful outside today. Oh. Are you trying to ride? We can. All right, bet. You want biking Check the keys around back? Yeah, that's what you said in the white box. All right, cool. So those clay pots are everything.
The guy's still a millionaire, so.
She said. We just walked in. Look at this cool little desk. Is that what this is? Yeah, I guess it is. I'm gonna refinish that. That's cool. All right, let's see here. So look at this. It's like a fucking
high chair.
Antique, like baby thing. That's cool.
Antique baby thing.
Let's see what we're working with.
I don't really care about the property. I want to see if he's shared any more Nazi shit.
We'll rip these cabinets up. Dude, I'm gonna keep these cabinets actually. Yeah. I'm gonna use them for my shop. Get some sunlight in this mug. I like this door. Okay.
It's wild he flipped out on his mom for buying rental properties. Now he's out here buying rental properties.
Okay.
Oh, it's just a closet.
It's not?
It's like a hallway.
Oh, shit. Okay. Little bathroom. I love these little mixing cabinets. Those gotta go.
I don't think it's a big deal. It's not like it's sad, you know?
Right. Well, that attic was dusty and musty, but look what we found. 1975-76 rules, regulations, and minimum standards for Tennessee Board of Education. That's pretty cool. I found a bunch of books up there. Oh, thank you, sir. We found a bunch of books up there, but most of them are torn up by like mice and shit. All right. Well, I didn't expect to find this stuff, but look at this. This was also in the attic.
Oh, God damn it, Ryan. No way, dude. You just come out as a Nazi like 2 days ago? And now you just find out that, what the fuck, dude? That's a plant. Fucking plant.
What does that say? I don't know what that says.
Jesuit.
Whoa, damn. Is it an old coin? What's this go in the front of a car?
He's thinking score.
Huh.
Oh, shit. Watching Sarah.
Can't do the music ones.
American. This country are.
Then breast of might be music.
You've heard it before. It sounds like.
What's that say? You belong with no group because no group will have you anymore. Ask all the groups if they fuck with me. They will say yes. Jesus actually did die for our sins, but he also gives us strength and power to live like him if we truly love and follow him. Nope, he didn't die so you could run around sinning. Absolutely not.
Jelly roll, come on, dude.
Do I know anybody in Hollywood that's been cloned? I don't know anybody in Hollywood, period. Plus, they wouldn't let me find out about it because I'm like, yo, guys, guess what? They're just a bunch of laws, wasting all their fucking time on me. Do I believe in God? Yes. And if so, do you read from King James Version? I read no version of any Bible. And I still can explain why I believe in God better than a lot of these motherfuckers.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, God, fucking. Did you see see Doobie's comment. Who the fuck is Doobie? Doobie? How does Joey's dick taste? Well, what's that video? You're going to find it first. Why won't you go to rehab? We have to have a reason to go to rehab, fool. Why do you beat on women? I know that. Would you ever collab with Taylor? Nope. Yeah, you see, I was just trolling. I was showing everybody, like, hey, look, I can.
Deardorf said you didn't have court with him, so did you or not?
Troll, they're going to talk about me trolling. So I'm like, I have court. And their whole day's like, well, the court docket today, it's tomorrow, and I'm going to spend all day driving around with fucking 8 no 3, trying to tell everyone that I'm a man now. I'm a man, I have cankles, but I'm still a man. Would you date older women? You boys only dating older women now. Is Morgan involved in all this? No, I don't believe so. I haven't seen or heard of anything that involves Morgan Wallen with any of this. Actually, I think he was quite unaware of it, and it was right beside him, if you ask me. Remember about a month ago on Country Cast when fucking Hardy was like, I think I figured out a conspiracy mystery. He didn't figure it out. He just became aware of it for the first time. And everybody's like, yeah, well, church has been talking about this.
So someone told me, like, even meth heads, once they've used meth so much, they can still get fat. They can still just, like, eat through the meth.
He's like, no, it's a fucking conspiracy mystery. With that being said about Country Cast, remember what Jelly said in that video? I posted a 38-minute long video about who? Country Cast. Country Cast? Are you doing casting on spellingism? Who's into fucking witchcraftinism? Oh, girl, twerking. Not only that, answer me this. Where's the 2 guys that used to be on Country Cast? Because if I'm not mistaken, the last time them motherfuckers did a video was the interview with me. Who the fuck are these new motherfuckers? They're obviously not the same vibe. It's fake as fuck. That's why the Country Cast views went down. Don't forget, I told all y'all, I said, hey, the new record label is going to be YouTube and social media. They're going to start buying everything up.
Chat doesn't like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, Stoner and everybody was like, we sold our portion of our points off the stuff we made with you. I said, why didn't you sell it to me? I'd have bought it. I gave you the same amount of money. Didn't even say that. Didn't even ask me, right? Okay, well, obviously somebody bought out Country Cast because those guys aren't there no more and the vibe sucks. The new guy's like, I got a
I know Twitch has you labeled as a possible ban evader.
all day and Johnny cried about something. Fuck, it's urgent.
In case you're interested.
Nobody gives a fuck. We want the other guy who was like actually talking about country music. You motherfuckers, y'all, it seems like y'all ain't even from this country. And then Jelly's all like, brother, Evan Paul loves you. Who the fuck is Evan Paul, motherfucker? Who is that? Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that? Who is that? I don't know who that is. It's like they expect me to know these fucking people. Like, they're so disconnected.
What are the chances he comes out and is like, I guess I am a Nazi, guys. I guess, because they're the only people that want to get rid of pedophiles. And also, Black Panthers are friends with me. And then he just finds all this Nazi memorabilia in a house he just bought.
From, like, regular people. Shit, they're like, Evan Paul effing loves you. Okay. What does that mean? Motherfucker, I'm really that motherfucker.
I think that's probably going to be nothing great. Nothing great from Upchurch, but we tried.
Right, and everything that's went on, that's been documented has went on because he documents the shit, you know, coming online and saying, hey, my wife just took the kid and left me seconds ago, right? But if you think for a second that he doesn't know, but that video that he put out clearly shows Jelly Roll quoting Nicole Arbor, and Nicole Arbor saying, hey, Ryan Upchurch is like Jeffrey Epstein, and how he got away with it is Jelly and his wife Bunny are like the Ghislaine Maxwell and the other person. I can't remember who the other person is because I don't really care to. But if you think for a second that Ryan doesn't know that's exactly what that is when you put it in its correct context, you're fooling yourself. What he loves, though, is for you to sit back and go, hey, freaking idiot, I got the video right here. Look here, let me play it. And he went so far as, I think that was DJ Highlight that he showed a little clip of the other day, and DJ Highlight saying the same thing. You know, you'll drive yourself crazy, and that's what he wants. Just like the bubble bath thing. I'm not going to speak on it. I'm not going to play a clip of it because I'm not going to get trolled by this dude, right? I'm not going to give him what he wants. This is a man in despair trying to keep himself alive, and I ain't going for it. I am not going for it. He sits in those little chats at Triple Tim's in the middle of the night and Hickorbillies and all these other guys, and he sits there and listens to their talking points. And when he knows good and well they make fun of him for being into bubble baths. He knows good and well that they make fun of him for picking his face off, which all of a sudden now he has no problem showing his face. And he knows good and well that Triple T served this country honorably for a long time. But for him to say that he's stolen valor, for him to jump in the bathtub with the bubbles in it, you know, it's all just a ploy for attention. And for him to be like, oh my God, this is Jelly Steen, and you guys are giving him exactly what he wants. And I'm not picking on anybody for it. I'm just saying, like, I got the few clues, and I'm like, this dude knows what he's talking about, and that's his goal, is to get people to talk about it. I mean, especially when he said that JJ Lawhorn's wife was dog ass ugly. Bruh. And no offense, JJ, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have went over there. Like, you did what you had to do. You know, and if I was in your area and in your same situation, I'd have done the same thing. I'd have went straight over to that dude's house. But we all knew dude wasn't going to come out, right? As much, I mean, no different than this dude ever admitting wrong in anything. But yeah, I ain't going for it, bro. Like, I'll continue to go in on the old stuff. Like, I think we're going to be on part 4 tomorrow of the You're Busted. You know, I'll continue to do that, but I ain't going for this new shit, bro. I ain't going for it. You're trying way too hard, man, and it's way too obvious for me. Nah, dog. I'm not going to be what saves your career or what's left of it. Nope.
All right, man. So
yeah, this is fun.
He's trying to get featured.
Strange ass behavior because we got this dude. Let's call him Jim.
Yeah, that ought to throw him off. And does that say integrity way?
So you got Jim. Jim can't stop.
Clown Shoes reacts.
Stop talking about Ryan.
All right. I guess it's the part where we say each other's name and something about us. This guy is Clown Shoes, and he has gauges in his ears. And I can see his brain through his nostrils. Wonder why. I bet so-and-so knows.
Not Ryan's music, not the bars, not the projects, but Ryan's life.
What bars? And does he still put out music? I didn't see it.
Who he's with, what he did, you know, what he might have said.
Yeah, you should have rehearsed this. And is this where you want to be when Jesus comes back?
Fuck old stuff, new stuff, rumors, just fucking digging constantly.
We're going to stand there.
Ryan brings it to the internet. Somebody left a comment the other day. It's like, when do we start discussing Ryan's personal? Ryan runs the internet with his personal life, and then expects people not to fucking talk about it, or
and say a bold-faced lie, soldier, over there on Integrity Way and Honorable Boulevard, and tell a lie. What digging? I mean, you mean turn Instagram on? This dude actually filing FOIA requests. No, Jerry does it for us, and then he puts it online, where the music used to be.
But at the same time, Jim is always promoting Adam. Adam's drops, Adam's links, Adam's channels. So let's call it what it is. You're using Ryan's name to stir up attention and then sliding Adam in the middle of it.
Oh, I see. Another one of these dudes that can't accept the fact that Adam took Jerry's spot. And quite frankly, I'm flattered that you think that I have any power to move that needle at all. But also, you're stomping all over that integrity way that you got hanging up behind you, because people with integrity don't lie. Don't come on here and just bold-faced lie to try to shift the narrative and just say that everything that I do on here is shit on Jerry, promote Adam. And honestly, when I heard you say that, I thought, when's the last time I've ever even promoted Adam at all? And it was 7 months ago on my community page. It's been 7 months since I posted an Adam Calhoun track. Do you really think that moved the needle some?
That's not commentary, my man. That's funny.
Well, I'll tell you what, my man.
My man?
I'll track down all 32 of those people, and I'll make sure that they don't feel like they were funneled into like an Adam Calhoun just because Jerry's a trainer.
You rile up one fan base to feed another. The fucking truth? The hard truth? If you have to talk about one man nonstop just to prop up another man?
Are you all right? Dude's voice cracked a little bit right there.
Just to prop up another man?
This must be more serious to you than what it is to me. Again, this is just something I come home in the evenings if I'm not too tired, maybe on a Saturday, which is what today is. Just to not only laugh at your King Jerry, but now you. Congratulations.
You're not standing on anything. You're just manipulating traffic, trying to get your views up, and what makes it worse, half of the stuff being pushed isn't even verified.
Have you watched my videos? Like any of them? Verified. I literally play back Jerry's words that, again, he puts out, right? No digging. This is screen recorded Instagram stories and reels. Straight from Jerry. And some on YouTube. Here lately on YouTube. He was banned there for a little while. Doing too good. But again, this is straight from dude. Something that I screen record when it comes out, and if I have a minute, talk about it. Point and laugh. And you are like very upset about it. I don't stand on nothing. And that's interesting. I stood for
working overtime.
I also have never changed my viewpoint. Talks about building a fan base on my own. What do you think I've done, dipshit? Why do you think that people follow me and listen to me? Because I've always been the same. I've always shot it the same way. No matter who it is, making an ass of themselves or setting themselves on fire, I'll say the same thing about them. And the reason folks can't move on from Jerry is this man keeps setting himself on fire and posting it and updating us that he's on fire every single day. How the fuck are you supposed to move on from that, right? Which we will eventually, because everything that's on fire eventually burns out to nothing. And we'll see it. And I'm assuming folks like you will blame me for it. You're the reason that he burnt down to nothing. You'll say it in that crackly voice of yours. Those plugs in your ear. Those are cool, by the way. I really like them.
It's speculation dressed up like facts. That shit's messy. You don't like Ryan's music? Say that shit.
I think his music's dog shit, sir. And he's still a train wreck on top of it.
But waking up every day trying to dissect that grown man's personal life so you can keep some attention flowing to someone else, that shit's obsessive.
Again, dissect. Have you ever logged into Instagram? And to prop another man up. Look, I'll tell you what I'll do for you. I'll delete that community post of those 32 people. Oh, fuck. Imagine believing that me taking a video of Ryan saying, hey guys, I suck. And me screen recording it and then putting a video together where I go, hey, look where Ryan sucks. And then once in 2 years, share a song. This man believes that's the formula to ACAL success. And he also believes that I guess somehow we all
nailed it
together. We all made that plan. All right. Hey, I have a job, dumbass.
That's calculated. And it screams one thing. You need them. Because if Ryan stopped trending tomorrow, Jim's content would dry.
Okay, you definitely don't have Instagram. Also, I don't like the way you said dry.
Content would dry.
You could have picked another word. Or you could have even said dried up. Or you could have said his content would be no more. Or I don't know, man. It's a combination. It's the whole, I have integrity and you don't. It's the gauges when you're too old for it. The funny looking haircut. The out of breath, like you're so nervous to even put this video together. That part's, you should be. Yeah, man, I hate to break this to you. Ryan hasn't been trending in a while. Where you been, bro? Saying that I'm trying to take this trending artist Ryan and take attention away from him to give it to Adam by way of lying and deceiving people. It's nonsense, man. And you know it is. There's no integrity in this.
That's not strength. That's dependency disguised as exposure. Real men build their own audience. They don't poke out another man's life just to redirect the spotlight. If this
He sounds a lot like Bort.
specific, it is.
For a second, I thought you were talking about Jerry. Man sure is poking a jelly roll right now, trying to redirect the spotlight, isn't he? Yeah, that's not strength. I agree with you there on that one, Gages.
Stop digging in another man's backyard just to plant seeds in someone else's. That's energy that always shows. Come on now.
Bro said, come on now.
Come on. Come on now.
And it's
Come on now.
I've been pointing out for like the last year about Ryan. Same exact energy. I mean, his target was Adam for 2 years, but he still talks shit on him. And then he goes after hard target and was like, hey, you don't have rose bushes. And now because Jelly Roll's doing so good, same shit. Hey, well, look what Jelly did. Look over here at me. Jelly was at my house. Jerry. So, dude, the first session's free. After this therapy's going to cost you.
Ooh, I wanted to see what this was. It's a long format video here.
I'm trying to fucking create this narrative about me, and guess what? It just ain't fucking working. You know why? Because everybody's looking around now. Everybody's looking and seeing all the shit I've said over the years, and they're seeing how all this shit's coming to light about all these fucking different people. And these certain fucking people are being pressed about it, and they don't know what to say. So what are they doing? They're hiring and getting their buddies and friends, their podcasters all to run this narrative. Answer me this. If that ain't the case, how the fuck am I this powerful? Am I this fucking powerful sitting in my house talking about shit, fucking telling people to go look at stuff that it takes all these thousands of motherfuckers to be like, I've tried this, and it still don't work? What does that mean? Exactly. Another reason why it ain't working is because all these fucking narratives, every one of them that could possibly be done has already been done 10 times over and already been debunked by hundreds of fucking people, which makes the people want to press these motherfuckers even more. 8 months ago, I said, yo, I heard about and seen some shit about witchcraft and them doing witchcraft on Morgan Wallen. Fucking 8 months later, so-and-so does witchcraft. What do you know? The same motherfuckers who are like, Jesus, man, he loved whores and prostitutes and he died for your sins. No. See, that's that fake-ass Christian bullshit. And look, I'm not a Bible thumper.
Okay.
I think Jesus was the coolest motherfucker on the block. I think Jesus was an outlaw. I think Jesus was a fucking rebel. And I think motherfuckers are jealous of him. Then you got old Jelly. Oh, Jesus loves hookers, brother. Jesus fucking, he died for your sins. No, Jesus was the coolest motherfucker on the block. And people didn't want everyone wanting to be like Jesus. So they killed that motherfucker on a cross and scared everybody into not wanting to be like him. You know what that sounds like? Somebody running around telling that fucking version of the story. Jelly Roll is somebody who is jealous of fucking Jesus, motherfucker. That's what that is.
Oh, Jelly, jealous, Jesus.
Father asking me what religion am I? You know what I say? America. And that's another.
I'm America religion. You guys don't know Jesus was an American? Fucking idiots. What religion are you? America. The gospel according to George Washington?
Don't bother asking me what religion am I? You know what I say? America. And that's another thing. When it comes to these kind of people, look at all these motherfuckers. They can't stand alone to save their life. They're terrified.
I think if you think he kind of has a point, you're too high. I think that's the problem.
To stand alone. You know who stood alone? Jesus. So you love Jesus so much, but you're too scared to stand alone like him? Well, you don't believe in him that much, it sounds like. Then when somebody comes up that has the balls to fucking stand alone, what do they say? Oh, this motherfucker thinks he's Jesus. No, maybe they were just born with the same personality as Jesus. Maybe they just think like Jesus. How about that?
Same personality as Jesus, think just like Jesus.
Oh, no, I can't say that.
Jesus was a carpenter, and I have carpet in my house. Everybody else is like, hardwood. Jesus loved hardwood. Nope. Jesus loved carpet.
Too fucking logical and fucking, normal and blatant. That's what that is. Like I said, bro, look, if his rules are his rules, then I'm probably going to go to hell. But you know what? I can't be mad at him. I can only be mad at myself if that's the case. But I'm still not going to sit here and tell no fucking, and act like I'm some fucking big Christian and all this other shit, and I ain't never done no fucking wrong or all this other shit, and I'm only trying to do helping, when really you're just trying to muddy the fucking water. Is it the same water you getting baptized in? These motherfuckers have showed their hand so bad at trying to make me look bad. I'm not gonna say his name because he don't deserve any clout, but there's another artist who has legit been like, dude, I think Upchurch is like fucking, dude, he might be the soul of Satan. They even had somebody dress up like the devil, like all special effects, and be like, yeah, Ryan's a bad guy. It's like, dog, y'all are trying too hard, and it is absolutely backfiring on your ass. Now look at the internet, look what's happening. Here's how you know who the fuck's telling the truth. You know you can't manipulate fucking time.
By the way, I did go back and rewatch that Jelly Roll clip. He's absolutely talking about Nicole Arbor said that Jelly was like, that Ryan was Epstein and Jelly was like his fixer or whatever.
And now people aren't saying, hey, I wonder what Upchurch is saying is true. No, they're not saying that. They're saying, hey, look at this shit Upchurch said 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And it is coming out that what he said about these people is fucking true.
All the crackheads think their predictions all came. I said this 10 years ago. No one believed me.
Because I'm the truth teller, baby. I belong to no group. I belong to the country. And I'm the universal citizen, biatch. Hate me or love it.
I'm the universal citizen, biatch.
Hate me or love it. Don't matter. Can't manipulate time. Y'all working overtime trying to fucking create this narrative about me.
Can't manipulate time, guys. I guess that's true. I was wondering, can you manipulate time? And then I thought, nope, can't do that. Can't manipulate time. Here we are. All right, guys. I got to go. Desolate's so goddamn high. I think I'm getting high from it. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. Go see Scream 7 if you're interested in the Scream movies. It was all right. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for the support. Thanks for hanging out with me. Listen to me bitch a little bit about what's going on in the world. I'll be better. I'll be back tomorrow and more prepared. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye. Wrong one.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular...
Roll the credits.
You don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle.
Somebody give Desolate a cup of coffee before he joins Ryan Upchurch's cults or whatever. Going on over there.
Get lit, get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip.
I'm just messing with you, man.
I can beg it for a throat deposit, swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest.
Support the show while we're offline or something. I don't know.
Your gut burst. I'll be your Huckleberry. I can quit.
I don't know where all those viewers on YouTube came from, but thanks for watching, I guess.
What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on a...
There's a bunch of them at first. Like 100 people.
5G towers, cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? What? I'll get my files. What are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a... Oh, my God. Damn it.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his throat. Now things are getting rocking. He was doing so well. It's all over. Hands on his shoulders. They ringing his bell. You got.
I think we're going to pick a day and start hanging out like a community thing and hang out on TikTok live. Just because there's so much more traffic right there right now, and try to drive people back over here for the regular show, but I'll have to put that together. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna do that. Anyways.
All their secret meetings teaching all you fucking cretins about baby eating heathens. Believing in reasons with no meaning is bullshit. Will Bird motherfuckers out here busting the group.
Have a good night, losers.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
You don't have those.
J. Hay Tashberry 2020 says,
pussy.
Thanks, Will.
Aviator glasses in your mother's basement, and I won't even give out your dime store handle.
Yeah, whatever. Good night.